And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 43 of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. It is Monday, October the 21st, 2019. It is 7:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am Dave McRae in Toronto, Canada. He is Tony Michael in Atlanta, Georgia. And here we are. We are talking
down here.
yeah, somewhere over there, whatever I don't know where that is.
And we're live, and it's on a Monday, and there's no fuck up.
That's right. And tonight, during Monday Night Football, the Rise of Skywalker trailer is dropping. I know there's some people, I don't give a shit about Star Wars. Is that all from you? Yes. Okay, great. Then shut up.
Well, I mean, I just care about the Patriots. They're playing tonight. We're going for 7.
That's
baby.
right.
We're going for 7.
Yeah, that's right. So we're talking Psycho, the original Psycho from 1960 and the original Night of the Living Dead, not Tom Savini's remake in the, what was that, 89, 90, somewhere around there, I think it was. Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a fun show, and we're going to start with Night of the Living Dead. But before we do, I want to, and I'll be doing this over the next little bit on the shows because it's a hot thing right now that's happening. I want to just remind people that the Indiegogo campaign is up right now for Dylan's New Nightmare, the fan film that I am going to be in, playing the one, the only Freddy Krueger himself, opposite Miko Hughes, who starred in Wes Craven's New Nightmare back in 1994. You know him. He was a very popular child actor at that time. He was in Kindergarten Cop. He was the boys have a penis, girls have a vagina kid. He was Gage in the original Pet Sematary. He starred alongside Bruce Willis in Mercury Rising. I believe he was even in Apollo 13 and Spawn and of course Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And Cecil Laird of The Horror Show, the YouTube channel The Horror Show, has written a fan film called Dylan's New Nightmare, and Miko Hughes loved the script, as did I. So we're on board. I will be playing Freddy Krueger opposite him, but like any movie of this level of caliber, it takes a little bit of a production budget. So anything you guys can do to help, if you can, is greatly appreciated, no matter how big or small. If you cannot help financially, that's okay. Spread the word, share it on your social media. If you have a channel on YouTube and you love talking horror, upload a video talking about it. Anything that can get the word out there would be greatly appreciated, because the boys, the boys, I should say, the fellas and the team from Never Hike Alone as well is helping to produce this movie. So that's the level of production value that we're looking at. So just want to plug that, as I will over the next few shows, because we're really excited about this. And next month, when I go to Hollywood for the Voice Arts Awards, I'm having a face, a complete head cast of my face for Freddy Krueger makeup by Hollywood special effects makeup artist Nora Hewitt. So I'm really excited about it. I know that we're going to be able to bring a Elm Street fan film that you guys can be proud of, but we can't do it alone. It sounds like a cheap sort of, sales pitch, but really it's the truth. And any little bit can help, because we want you guys to be a part of it. And the perks, by the way, are outstanding. I mean, I'm looking at the perks. I'm like, damn, I want to get in on that. I forget that I'm in the movie. I like everything from Blu-rays to VHSs to Freddy Krueger gloves and sweaters and hats to digital download packs to autographed posters. I mean, you name it, it's there. And even your very own Rex dolls. I mean, it's crazy stuff. So check it out if you can. You know what? I don't even think the link is in the description. Let me just quickly put the link.
Gotta get on that, Dave.
I know, I do. Let me just quickly put the link in the description here. I should have done that before. I was so busy today. This will just take 2 seconds. So I will put the link to the Indiegogo campaign in the description right now. 1 second here. We are going to do that. I'm going to do it. And
yeah, while he's doing that, guys, he's not kidding, man. It's not easy to put these film projects together. A lot of you guys ask, hey, Tony, when are you going to do your Jason shoot or, short film, or Michael, it's process. It's a process to get to the end game and make it, because like Dave said, the money that's involved to raise it, to get the licensing or the paperwork to get the okay to shoot at the locations that wherever Dave and Cecil and these guys are going to be filming at. It's not cheap, unfortunately. You'd like to say that people are generous and like, hey, come on here and shoot your movie. Doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
That's right. That's right. And like, when you look at something like Never Hike Alone, which is arguably not only the best Friday the 13th fan film online, but it's arguably the greatest fan film, arguably now. There's a lot of good ones out there, but arguably the best fan film ever created. And a large reason for that is because of its production value. But that production value was not cheap to achieve. So that's why, we're looking to achieve that same level of production value. And the teaser trailer, by the way, if you haven't seen it, is on the Indiegogo campaign as well. So anything. And like I said, if you can't help out financially with, a few bucks here or there, that's okay. Just spread the word. Tell people about it. Because the more we can get it out there, the better chance is. So, yeah. Okay. I'm done. I'm done with the pitch. All right.
Right.
Let's jump into Night of the Living Dead. Tony, take it away.
Oh man, dude. And well, first of all, both of these films are, easily, two of my favorite horror movies of all time. They both, in their own way, redefined the horror genre respectfully. When you think about what Psycho did, and the domino effect it had leading up to eventually what we got with Halloween, and then also Night of the Living Dead, and how The Walking Dead has everything everything to Night of the Living Dead. The risks that Hitchcock and Romero, think about it, we're talking about Hitchcock and Romero tonight too, on top of that, two of the great directors in the genre, and the chances that these guys took in the 60s to make these types of movies when they weren't being made at that time, is where we are today. Because if these guys didn't have the cojones to take that type of risk, who the fuck knows where we would be right now with movies and whatnot. We may not be at the level of where we're at with it today, because today when you watch Night of the Living Dead or you watch a movie like Psycho, people go, oh, I don't understand. Like, why would the shower scene matter? It fucking mattered back in 1963. So, but yeah, as far as Night of the Living Dead go, I know we'll get to Psycho here in a moment. I was telling you this before the stream, man, POV low angle shots that Romero was filming. And for a lot of people who don't know, he was his own cinematographer and director in this movie. That heavily influences my own creativity. You guys see it on my Instagram with my photos and those low angle shots. I'm totally stealing from what Romero did in, Night of the Living Dead. But I posted this last night when I watched it. Every time I see that scene with Johnny and Barbara in the cemetery, I go to thinking Mrs. Elrod, poor fucking Mrs. Elrod, picking up putting her hand on the sandwich and seeing the blood there while her husband is like this on the couch sleeping the Night of the Living Dead.
They're coming to get you, Barbara. Stop it! Stop it! They're coming for you, Barbara. Just stop it!
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, I watched the movie for the first time in quite a few years, actually, the other day. And as soon as it came to that scene, I knew it was coming, obviously, because I know that this is the movie where it is. And as soon as that happens, instantly Halloween 2 from 1981. That's just, it's just because that's my frame. It's my sense memory, right? That is Halloween 2, 1980. I saw that scene in Halloween 2 before I ever actually saw Night of the Living Dead. So
same here. I didn't know what the movie was, and then I was like, okay. I started asking people who were older than me, who like, hey, can you tell me what this movie was?
Right.
And they told me it was Night of the Living Dead. I was like, yeah, because that's how I got introduced to it, was because of Halloween 2.
Exactly. This is the kind of movie that, it's obviously very dated now. It was made for like $115, $116, $17, something like that, $1,000. It was a few $100,000 less than Halloween. Let's, think about that. George Romero was the editor. He was the director. He was the cinematographer. He was the producer. There are a few choppy edits in there. There's one particular edit in the basement that was quite noticeably choppy. But there's a certain charm to it because you have to think of it in context. As I was telling Tony before the stream began, this is as close to guerrilla filmmaking. When I say guerrilla filmmaking, I'm talking about you grab your camera, you go out there, you don't worry about permits or getting rights to use things. You just kind of do it on the fly, and you don't tell anybody. You know what I mean? Obviously, this was not that. They did have permission to shoot where they shot, but it's as close to guerrilla filmmaking as you're going to get without it being guerrilla filmmaking. I mean, it was so, there's a certain charm to it, and a certain, it was
simplicity but effective.
Yes, exactly. And I can't say I'm a big zombie fan, but I can appreciate what Romero was doing in 1968 to show this kind of a movie. Again, you think of it in context. I mean, even in 1968, the movie was panned for being too gory. And when you watch the movie now, you're like, gory? Like, again, you got to think of it within context. This is 10 years before Halloween. This is, 6 years before Chainsaw and Black Christmas. And, I mean, and what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 years before Exorcist. So this is the late 60s. This is essentially a year before, Manson. So, I mean, and now Psycho was in the pop culture consciousness at this time, but this was a different, it was a low budget film. Psycho was not a low budget film per se. It was a studio film. This was not a studio film. And it was,
when you're talking about blood, like the scene there with Dwayne James, right? His name, the guy who plays Ben. Yeah. Dwayne Jones plays Ben, the African-American. When he's walking upstairs and you see the woman there on the ground and the blood splatter on the wall, they ain't used to seeing this shit in 1968. You know what I mean?
No.
Remember, we're still coming off of a decade in the 50s where it's the Leave It to Beaver era. You're not seeing this type of, stuff on the screen. Yeah, you had the protests of the Vietnam War and, all of that going on in the country at the time. But like what Dave just said here, the shit that you're seeing that Romero took the chances on back in 67 when he probably made this and released in 68, ballsy. A lot of balls in this movie.
Yeah, no, and you're absolutely right. And this was seen as an exploitation film. And I mean, watching it now, I mean, it's very low budget, and you can tell that. Even in compare the production value, and we'll get to Psycho in a minute, but compare the production value of Psycho, which was 8 years prior to Night of the Living Dead, and then look at Night of the Living Dead, which is 8 years after.
I think I said 63. You're right, 1960.
Psycho's 1960, yeah.
And I said 63 for some reason. I don't know why.
How dare you?
I know. How dare you.
Hey, at least he didn't say 1993. So it's the kind of thing where, even in 1968, this was, people watching this movie knew they were watching a low budget independent film, and it had a grittiness exploitation. I mean, it is essentially an exploitation film to a degree, and the idea of cannibalism again 6 years before Texas Chainsaw. So,
yeah,
I mean,
the other thing in the film, I forget that sometimes that when I watched it again over the weekend here, you do see the cannibalism, and that's just, again, for 19.
Right.
Today, it doesn't matter because we're so desensitized to this stuff.
That's right.
Back then, people must have been going out of their fucking minds when they saw this.
Right. And to use the idea of human beings, it's hard for a modern audience, and will only continue to get harder to, put it in context. It's the 60s. This is something that nobody had seen before, really. And the idea of human beings, and you'll notice, and part of this is really production budget, because obviously when Dawn of the Dead was released 10 years later, the production value was much higher, and the zombies were much more zombie-like. But so part of the reason why the zombies looked the way they did was because of the production budget, but it actually worked in their favor. There was nothing particularly grotesque about them. They were just very sort of dead looking, and it's the idea of these people, coming in and invading your privacy and space like that, returning from the dead, and just wanting to essentially eat you. And that was a frightening thought. I mean, you said, I mean, the Vietnam War was on at the time, and people had a very different outlook on things that were considered risque, sexual, gross horror. You know, it was a different time, you know, and watching that movie was very apparent when I was watching it again for the first time in many years. And we'll get to the things that we liked about it. But I was like, yeah, I get it. I get why this was like, you know, the movie that your dad, you ain't watching that garbage. You know what I mean? Like, totally.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. An African-American male lead. 1960s.
Right.
Cold clocks a white woman in the film to calm her down.
Yes.
Okay, and unbuttons her jacket. Now, we say this in the context of 2019. Oh, you just unbuttoned her jacket. Dude, you're talking about an African-American male unbuttoning a white woman's jacket that he just cold clocked across the face and knocked out. Okay, in 1968, you got Martin Luther King's assassination just happened a few months earlier. Robert Kennedy. Malcolm X is somewhere in between all that because Night of the Living Dead came out in October of 68.
Yeah.
I think Martin Luther King was somewhere around in 68 or like April of 68, right? Is that?
I'm not off the top of my head. I'm not sure, but
I think
somebody in the chat will probably let us know.
Bobby Kennedy was June of 68, I believe, or it could have been 69, one or the other. Anyways, even if they weren't assassinated at that point, you're in the heat of the civil rights movement. So you've got all this going on outside in the real world. So, you know, you've got that to consider. Now you've got this African-American male who's the lead of your movie, and he's basically talking to white people back then the way that most African Americans weren't talking to white people, and it was very heavily frowned upon. So kudos to you, Mr. Romero, for taking that type of a fucking risk. You know, because I guarantee you, there is one scene in that movie that gets under his skin to this day. If you look at the way he treats the white woman in the movie, and also the male, the dude in the movie, right?
Yeah, the one from the basement.
One from the basement. Yeah, he ends up shooting him.
Yeah.
But the little girl, you ever see the scene where he kind of just places her on the couch? I bet the ratings board, I often wondered, did they film a different version of that scene? Because she's a child, she's a little white girl, and he practically just places her on the couch while he's kind of ruthless and aggressive with everybody else. I'm wondering if the NPA board at the time said, you know what, dude, you can't do that to a little white kid. I don't do everything else, but not that.
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I'd have to watch that scene again. I don't remember that standing out to me. Was she
body language, and it just looks way too staged. You know what I mean? When you're watching everything else unfold in the movie, and then you see that scene again. Like I had to do a double take last night watching. I was like, wait, did I see what I thought I saw? And yeah, sure enough, he just basically kind of places her on the couch, and I'm like,
interesting.
Now Romero probably is like, oh, I fucking hate I have to do this.
Was she already the zombie at that time?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Interesting.
Upstairs, but he wasn't as aggressive like he was towards the father and
right.
Towards the white woman. So
right.
But yeah, I mean that's just very, very, very ballsy. Then of course the ending. You know, you can interpret the ending many ways. A lot of people think it's political. You know, killing the African American at the end. You know, at a time in our country where it was very, you know, again, very, very, very sensitive.
Right.
Kind of sad to think here we are almost 50 years later, not much really has changed in our culture.
Yeah. 51 years later. I mean, you know, there's been endings like that before in movies. And when I watched that ending, I was kind of like, I actually, you know, it's funny because I hadn't seen the movie in a while. I have to admit, I had forgotten how the movie was going to end. I had a couple of ideas from what I thought I remembered, but when I was watching the movie and the lead actor goes into the basement and he's trapped down there in the cellar with all the people upstairs, for some reason I thought an epic ending, because you know how they're afraid of fire, right?
Yeah.
He's essentially got everybody in the house. I mean, all the zombies, I mean, maybe there's more outside, I don't know. But it looks like the entire party that was outside approaching the house is now in the house, clamoring at all the doors. I thought an interesting sort of take might have been if he suddenly, I don't know, he sacrifices himself and cuts a gas line or something, and the entire house goes up in flames, just like a big massive explosion. He takes out himself, but he also takes out all of the zombies with him, and you get this great shot from a distance, this farmhouse in a field just exploding and going up in flames, right? Or something like that. Yeah. For some reason, when this was playing out, I thought to myself, is this how it ends? I don't know. I had this false memory that this is how the movie ended. And of course it didn't. And when it actually ended in the ways that it did, I thought to myself, right. Okay. So that's how the movie ends. I forgot about that. And you're right. It was a white man that shot him. It was a white cavalry, essentially. They are the authority.
KKK type undertone, without the white sheets. You know what I mean? When you're talking about the good old boy country boys coming around.
Sure. That's what
I'm referring to,
Right.
He didn't come out directly and say these guys were white supremacists, but you got that undertone from it.
I guess so. I have to admit it. Maybe it's because I'm Canadian and it's more sensitive in the States. But I didn't particularly pick up on that, although I was aware that they were essentially from, well, your neck of the woods, down, the South area. And so at least it felt like that. There was that vibe to it. But certainly you could, there's no evidence for this, but if somebody wanted to be a bitch, they could say, oh, he knew that the guy was not a zombie. He just shot him because he was black. You could say that, but there's absolutely unequivocally no evidence for it. So sure. I like to say that, no, he thought he was a zombie. Why wouldn't you think he was a zombie, right? You don't want to take any risks, so he shoots him in the head. But what a great ending, because it's so unsatisfying in many ways. And you feel for the character that spent his entire, he survived everybody else, and he makes it out. He survives in the cellar and makes it out, and the zombies are nowhere to be seen. And we still don't know whatever happened to them. I guess they fucked off and went somewhere else, I guess, right? And then he's like, oh my God, I've made it. And then he gets shot in the head, and it's like, oh, no way. I remember when that happened, I'm sitting there with my cat, and I'm like,
I think Beta, that's a deliberate, in my opinion, I think that was Romero's deliberate attempt. Look, if you lived in this country at that time, you knew what Romero was doing. The obvious was there. But you're right. With your argument, it makes sense, because at that distance, you can't tell if he's human or not human. And I get that. That's the cleverness of what Romero did, to more or less fly under the radar. But when you look at it from a whole, you kind of get what he's doing all these years later, which is to me, I think, is the genius part of it. And that's what I've said about, I'm okay with people giving a political message in their film. I have no problem with that. It's how you're going about doing it. Look at what Romero did. It's the undertone without it being so directly in your face. He gets the message across while you appreciate and enjoy a movie at the same time.
Right. It's funny. I when I was watching the movie, I noticed some inconsistencies with the continuity, and I actually found it funny that they're supposed to be watching a live broadcast on television, right? But when they're in the house, it's nighttime, and the broadcast on television's happening during the day. And it's not like
I know, yeah.
And it's not like it's like, maybe 8 o'clock where they are, and maybe the broadcast is on, they're 3 hours behind. No, it's like 2 or 3 in the morning. And so it wouldn't matter where you are in America or Canada or, wherever you are at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's black. Because 3 a.m. here would be midnight in Los Angeles. Well, it's going to be dark, right? No matter what. So when it's the middle of the night here, it's dark everywhere. And I found that kind of funny. I'm like, it's like, it looks balmy. Like there's sunshine. It's like a beautiful day. I'm like, I found that kind of, there's some inconsistencies there, but you.
Not only that, but that scene there with the young couple when they get into the truck, right? And Ben helps them out and they take off. And then there's a cut scene where it's kind of like daylight out a little bit. You know what I mean? You could see like, all right, clearly lenses at the time and cameras weren't capable of getting the shots at night like you could to get to wherever the gas pump was. But there's a quick cut there that if you watch again, the truck is moving up the road and they're trying to get away from the zombies. And you notice it's like I want to say it's like dusk. It's like twilight. It hasn't gone completely dark, but it's dark enough. And whereas a moment before, it's pitch black. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
There's those types of little like 1960s filmmaking that you're like, okay.
Yeah. No, it's true. And the one thing I noticed too, and I don't really understand why they wouldn't do this. I don't imagine this would have taken much more in a budget when the couple in the truck. And I love that scene, by the way. I like the fact that they're trying to make an escape and they just don't make it. And they obviously, in my mind, I'm thinking you don't realize your entire gas tank is on fire. But anyway, so they're driving away and the truck explodes. And I love the way they did the effect because it's old school guerrilla shit that I would have done as a teenager or not knowing what to do. You know, you look at it and they just add this, a couple of frames of this white, right? With the sound effect of an explosion, right? So it's like, you know what I mean? Like it kind of reminds me in one of my early little experimental fan films, Halloween, like 10 years ago, I was trying to figure out how to do gunshots, right? And because I didn't have After Effects then. And what I did was I actually just inserted frames of white. So when the sound effect would go, there'd be a frame of white that would flash on the screen, and it worked. It served its purpose, right? For a little independent experimental thing that I was doing, and it kind of reminded me of that. Obviously, they had a lot bigger of a budget. That's a real film, despite it being low budget and independent. But it shows you the creativity. It's that they didn't have effects. There were no effects really back in the day. So they insert this white frame to make this explosion, But the point I was making was when they cut to the wide shot of the truck on fire, there's no the man that was leaning into the truck to get his wife or his girlfriend out was no longer there at the doorway of the truck. And from the wide shot. And I remember thinking a body is missing there. We should have just make up a body. You don't put actually someone there, but you make up a body, in a suit and all that kind of stuff or whatever, and you just place it there and you light it on fire. So there's some sort of object there leaning into the car on fire, and we get the impression that that's the body of the guy because you see the guy leaning into the truck. I know I'm overanalyzing this. Like, Dave, it's a low budget zombie movie from the 60s.
No, you're not. I mean, people can say I'm overanalyzing from the political undertone, but what I mean by that is simply that what Romero did in Night of the Living Dead is everything that you couldn't do back in the 60s. He basically said, fuck you, I'm going to go and do it. And that's what I respect about him.
Right. No, right. But at the same time, the only reason why I'm picking on that is because I don't understand why I can't imagine it would have increased the budget that much more to place a fake body, so to speak, just leaning in the doorway, because it's very noticeable. It doesn't look like there's anybody in the truck because there is nobody in the truck. And I think you needed some sort of body.
Could have been budget restraints. I mean, who knows? Yeah,
it could have been some sort of body-like object just kind of leaning in there on fire, like, oh shit, that dude's on fire. You know what I mean? That would have been cool. But I love I actually, if you've never seen Night of the Living Dead, there is a colorized version of it. Don't watch the colorized version. Don't watch it.
Yeah. It ruined.
Yeah, no, watch the original black and white version because that's the way the movie was meant to be seen. Yeah. And some of my favorite, I mean, I'm just trying to think. I mean, I love
all the low cut angle shots and of those scenes. I mean, when they're in the house boarding it up and getting everything secured.
Yes.
It's paced well because you get the sense of urgency in the scenes from the actors and the way Romero is filming the scene at the time. Very well executed and just a really creative way to frame a shot. As I said before, I definitely utilize that type of low angle POV perspective a lot in my own photography, and I just think it's great. It's not something people do that often because it is distorting to the eye. It's not a normal composition when you're talking about composition as a whole in a picture. What you and I are, well, this would be considered more normal, me being leveled with the camera.
Right.
But that's what the eye is used to seeing when you're getting this like low angle shit up here and you're looking up and whatnot. Like, oh, okay, I can do that with the camera. I guess I can.
Well,
I like that shit.
You're bang on. One of the things that I often tell people when, you know, they're making a fan film or they're making a movie, they want to make a movie and they want my advice. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, and you know, how to shoot it. And you as a photographer would definitely know this, is that don't shoot your entire movie with a like a 55 mil lens or like a you know, like it's all
Normal lens.
yeah, like all just like a stock lens or all just medium shots. Don't shoot your entire movie like this and then this and then this and then this and then this and this.
A lot of people do that because it's a safe play.
Because it's safe and it's easy and it's eye level. It's something they're familiar with, and that doesn't mean that you don't ever have those shots in your movie. Of course you do, but when you're using establishing shots or you're having somebody walk into a room or you're setting the mood through different angles and things like that, switch up the angles and get creative because it keeps it more visually interesting. And definitely Night of the Living Dead, if anything at the very least, is visually creative and very interesting. And even though the zombies are very slow and they don't appear to pose a threat, certainly at the end of the movie, I could definitely feel the threat. When all those people were, I can't say that I felt, I mean, maybe if I was watching this movie for the first time in 1968, I would have. But now, as a 40-year-old man in 2019, I'm watching it again for the first time in years, and I'm like, you know, I can see its age a bit. But certainly, even to this day, that ending holds up, because when that, I forget his name now, what's the black guy's name? The lead, Ben?
Oh, and
he was great. Yeah. No, his character name.
Okay, yeah, Ben Jones.
Dwayne Jones. He was fantastic. And I totally believe, and very sad. He died in like, I think the early 90s or something like that. Very sad. I think something like that. But anyway, he was great. Terrific. And I loved his sense of urgency and authority. Sorry?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I loved his sense of urgency and authority and the fact that he almost knew. I just love that by the end of the movie, I actually could feel for him when he went into the cellar. And it's ironic, right? Because, you know, that's that foreshadowing that, you know, the guy said that he should be in the cellar anyway the whole time. He didn't believe it. Well, what if they come in? Well, I can go over here and I can go over there. And, you know, and then ironically, he ends up in the basement anyway. And which, of course, then he sees the guy that he shot. And, but just all those zombies coming into the house and just walking around aimlessly and this, like, you really, because of the angles that Romero chose to shoot it from low angle shots, which gives the zombies a sense of power, a sense of authority in the room. Even though they're slow, if he was shooting at eye level the whole time, you would get a sense of commotion, but you wouldn't necessarily get a sense of ominous presence. And so when you shoot from low angles, and Tony can back me up on this, you know, you give the subject in your frame a sense of you know, and it all depends on what, you know, level you're going for, but you give them a sense of authority, you know, and the zombies are moving slow, so you need to give them a sense of authority and creepiness, and they look like they were taking over that fucking house. And I actually remember, I'm watching this the other night, and I'm thinking to myself, fuck, that dude's fucked. I'm like, fuck, that dude is fucked. Like, I actually could feel it a little bit. And I was like, yeah, I love it. You know, it still holds up today.
Yeah, no, it totally does. Apparently, I made Dwayne Jones turn out to be a hard luck story. I haven't even spoken about the dude at all. But, yeah, that's what our buddy Devontae in the chat room under the name Gary Projects would like everybody to believe. Apparently,
that's actually not Devontae. I lost him. Don't know what happened to him. Let's see if I can get him back. Ba 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 ba. All right, let's see if I can get Tony back. 1 second, folks. We'll see if we can get... Oh, Tony is gone. Devontae got him. They might have. Okay, let me just see if I can get him back, folks. 1 second. I wonder why it's doing that. Let's see if I can resend the link. It was a little off today. Let's see if I can get Mr. Tony back. All right, my man. Let's see. I just sent him another link to reconnect, so we will see if we can get him back. But let's see here. We'll see if he shows up, folks. I sent him a link, so we'll see if we can reconnect, make the connection established again. But yeah, no, I mean, this was it held up, and it was such an interesting and great. I was so happy that I was able to actually feel the anxiety that I was feeling when watching the movie, because the movie, of course, is 51 years old. So it was really cool that I was actually able to watch that movie and get to that ending part and actually feel that way, which was really cool. I like that. So let's see. Still no Tony. I sent him another link, and we'll see here. For some reason, I wonder why they're waiting for connections. All right, well, I did send it. We'll see if it happened. Let me Instagram him. Or maybe he'll Instagram me. Oh, it looks like he did not yet. But let me see here if I can get to Tony. Appreciate your patience, folks, as we work through this. Okay. Sent link. He'll let me know what the issue is. All right. Oh, wait. Oh, I thought that was him. Well, 1 second. Hang on a sec. Okay. Now I'll send him okay, this should get him back, folks. This should get him back. All right. Tony should be coming back. He should be coming back. I think he's going to be coming back in a few seconds. So, Night of the Living Dead, 1968. Definitely a film that I really liked revisiting. I thought it was, again, the movie's a bit dated now, but it was definitely fun to revisit. It was great to see that scene, of course, at the beginning that is very reminiscent of watching Halloween 2, the Mrs. Elrod scene. And, it has a really nice charm to it. And it's not really scary today, except for that ending when all those zombies... He's back. Oh, Tony's back. 1 second. Let me, hang on a sec, Tony. Let me bring you in. 1 second. I don't think they can hear you yet. So 1 sec. I'm going to bring Tony back. We're going to bring him back, folks. 1 minute. He is back. And Tony is, 1 second. Okay. Yeah, I sent him a new link. Sometimes that happens. We're doing it on the fly. This is what happens when you have a live stream. Okay, and there we go. And Tony Michael is back, ladies and gentlemen. Tony Michael is back. Here he is.
This software. God.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Everything seems to be working all right. But that's okay. But that's okay. It happens. I handled the show for a couple of minutes without you there. I was just saying that Night of the Living Dead, it was really fun to revisit it and watch it again for the first time in a long time. And it's, it's pretty dated now, but when you watch it in context, it's really cool to understand that this is essentially, for all intents and purposes, the godfather of zombie movies. And if you are a zombie fan, and if you are a diehard zombie fan, and you have not seen Night of the Living Dead, and you haven't seen this movie, then you've got to see it. I mean, this is essentially the movie that began the zombie genre, for all intents and purposes.
Agree, because I'm a lot like you. I love Night of the Living Dead, the 68 black and white version. But as far as anything after this, Shaun of the Dead is funny. I can throw that in and laugh. The only other zombie movies that I've enjoyed watching is Zombieland, which is more of a comedy movie. But I surprisingly, enjoyed the first one, and I just saw the second one here and didn't even know they were doing a second one until like a month ago. But yeah, I've watched maybe like 2 episodes of Walking Dead, and I live literally in the mecca of where they filmed The Walking Dead right here in Georgia. But
That's right.
Zombie things just couldn't get into
it.
Romero's Night, fucking love it.
Yeah, I'm not a big zombie fan either, but I gotta say I do like Night of the Living Dead. I do like the original Dawn of the Dead as well from 1978. And I actually quite enjoyed the remake, Zack Snyder's, or Snyder, depending on how you want to pronounce it, his remake, I think he did that, right? From 2004 with, yeah, that was, I enjoyed that. I saw that in the theater and I thought that was a pretty good remake. So, but overall, I'm not a big zombie fan, but this is a movie that's...
remake was decent. I mean, it's all right. You know,
which one?
Savini's remake. Tom.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen that in years. I got to watch that again. But it's got a nice charm and love the camera work and just knowing that Romero directed it, produced it, edited it, shot it. Yeah. I mean, he was balls to the wall. You know, he was passionate about this project to bring
That's
something.
That's a filmmaker who said, you know what, I'm going to do this shit myself and get it done. You know, and that's respect. You got to have nothing but respect for what he did. And all the chances, like I said, all the chances that he took with, you know, Dwayne Jones being the lead. I mean, that's just fucking amazing. And I love that. Apparently me saying I love that is a negative thing towards Dwayne, but I don't know, I guess, whatever, right?
You can't please everybody, so you got to please yourself. Rest in peace, Ricky Nelson.
I like that. I'm going to use that. Mm-hmm. I know exactly who I'm going to use that on too. Anyway, but yeah, and then of course, you know, like I said, you've got the iconic opening there with Barbara and Johnny in the cemetery, which obviously we see later in Halloween 2.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it! Stop it!
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Just stop it!
You know what's funny about that opening? Again, it goes back to things being a bit dated. But when you watch the opening and they're there at the gravesite and then you just see
one dude.
Yeah, like what the hell is this guy?
Zombie? Yeah, I know.
And he's there. He looks like an inebriated. I hear an echo.
Can't be from me. You're good with me.
I know it's so weird, but I can hear it. And you just see like this weird drunk inebriated, like it looks like he's an inebriated guy way out in the field, just walking around going, "Hey, I can't find my fucking mother. I can't. I can't. I swear to God, it was over here somewhere." And it's a little bit of, you know, you can't help but chuckle at the movie at times. But damn, man, like I said, when you were you know, conveniently checked out for a couple of minutes there, that ending, I felt some anxiety. I actually did.
Sure. No, I mean, like we said too before going live, the film definitely has a documentary style to it, and I almost wish more movies would be like that. You know, I guess you can say Cloverfield sort of kind of falls in that type of documentary style, found footage, you know, filmmaking. But I would love to see, you know, movies have that, more horror movies specifically have that approach, that doc style, because there is a sense of creep factor to it where at times when you're watching Night of the Living Dead, you almost feel like, fuck, did this shit really go down? Because of the way Romero cut the film and made the film. I mean, you knew you were watching a movie, but there were moments in there where even the smallest little details I loved about, like, even the news anchor guys, you know, and the newsroom is behind them, because that's what fucking newsrooms looked like back in the 60s.
100%.
And the anchors themselves, the way their mannerisms were in the delivery, that's what news anchors were like back in the fucking 60s.
100%. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
That sense of realism to it, even though we knew we were watching a movie.
Yeah, all that, the news footage, it looked good. I mean, even the little scene they shot, it was during the day for some strange reason, but even the news footage they shot in Washington next to the Capitol building. I mean, that was a nice touch. You know, I mean, you really got a sense that this was, you know, a legit, like, that actually was all really well done. I totally believed it. I totally bought it, you know, and there's no doubt that would have just been a small little camera crew that just went out there, you know, one day and yeah, exactly. So it was fun. It was fun. And the movie is a classic. And if you're a zombie fan, that's zombie, the genre, not Rob Zombie, then you've got to watch it because it's great stuff. One of my favorites for sure. So anyway, let's move over to, I do want to say that I think my favorite scene in Night of the Living Dead was when Barbara gets taken out the door and she
By her
recognizes
brother?
that it's her. Yes. And they're
Yeah.
all at the door and it's like, no, she's being taken out. I love that. You could feel again, I guess that sort of ties into the ending where you can feel
Sure.
the anxiety building to the ending. I love that. And I actually quite like when she first goes up the stairs. The whole camera work around the house was really nicely done. And she goes up the stairs and she sees the face-eaten, body at the top of the stairs with the ping pong ball eyes. That was really cool. However, continuity is broken a little while later when Ben is moving the body in the sheet. When he moves it around the corner, you get a glimpse of the face of the body, and the face isn't chewed up at all.
Anymore, yeah. No, I know. It's filmmaking in 1967.
That was probably shot in '68. Because if it was released
and released by October,
well, I mean, it depends when it was shot. I mean, if it was released or not.
Make those types of movies.
True. Yeah, we'd have to find out. I would have to find out when that. It wouldn't surprise me if it was made, in the spring or something like that.
Yeah.
But who knows? You could be right. But yeah. All right, on to Psycho, 1960. Arguably now.
The godfather of horror, slasher, whatever,
Godfather of the slasher subgenre.
Yeah.
I watched this, obviously I've seen it multiple times, but I watched it again to brush up for the show this morning, actually.
Yeah.
So it's fresh in my brain. And Tony, your thoughts on Psycho?
Shit, where do you begin? I mean, well, sometimes, when people say they pull a Psycho with their leading actress at the beginning of the film, people always forget Janet Leigh was in the film for about 45 fucking minutes. She didn't get off in the beginning of the film.
That's right.
Like what a lot of people say at times. No, she was in there for about half of the movie because the movie's about an hour and 45 minutes long. So she's almost in there for about half of the length of the film.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that because when I was watching it again, it had been a little bit since I've seen it. I'm thinking to myself, geez, she's actually in this movie a fair bit. I think what was the shock was not that she was in the movie for only 45 minutes, because 45 minutes is, only 45 minutes is relative, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's the fact that Janet Leigh at that time was a movie star. And at that time, to have a movie star like Janet Leigh in your movie and kill that movie star was almost, if not absolutely, unheard of and risky.
Yeah.
And that's what it wasn't the length that she was in the movie, although I'm sure if she was killed in the first 3 minutes, that would have been crazy. Sure. But it was the fact that, it would be like having a Bette Davis in a movie and she's murdered in such a vicious fashion. I mean, it's like, oh my God, it's like, what the fuck, right? I mean, this is because you're so used to seeing the stars of the golden age of cinema in movies and carrying films like Janet Leigh was doing for 45 minutes of that movie.
Sure.
So, when you look at what Drew Barrymore did in Scream, it's the same concept, but Drew was in and out in a matter of, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this was, she was out before I think even the, the credits or even the, you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, so it's not
one
really
of the longest prologues to a film. I can tell you that much. Scream.
Sure. Yes. But in terms of, but no, I mean, I thought Janet Leigh was brilliant, beautiful. And what's so fascinating, my girlfriend and I say this all the time. When you watch older movies, it was a different era. So when you watch actors and actresses, sometimes it's hard to pinpoint their age because they dressed adult and they spoke adult and they, did adult. There was a different, there was the nuclear family and there was a different set of expectations and there was, a different sort. I'm not saying there weren't things that weren't like that, but if I said to you, how old do you think Janet Leigh is in Psycho? To me, if somebody just asked me, just looking at her, and this is no disrespect to what she looks like, it's all, boils down to how she carries herself in the movie, the hairstyle, the clothes, right? I would say she looks like she's a woman in her 40s, and she's not. She's 33 years old.
In her early 30s, yeah.
She's 33 years old in Psycho, folks.
It looks amazing.
She's outstanding. But because of the way she carries herself and because of the way stars and women, especially at that time, going back even into the 40s and the 50s, carried themselves, you can look at a woman who was, 28, 29, and they look like they...
Well, I think that's not even just stars. I think that's everybody. You look at
absolutely
photos of our parents and grandparents.
Right.
Everybody's always dressed nice. You think like, did anybody ever dress down back? And no, they didn't. That just... Everybody dressed nice back in the day,
and carried themselves, and
so a little bit.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And so it was interesting as I was watching it, I was also Wikipediaing certain actors, and I just remember thinking, wow, she's 33 in this movie. I'm like, Jesus, I could have. You could have told me she was 45 and I would have bought it. Not because she looks 45, just because of the vibe, right? And she looks like a woman, not that someone who's 33 isn't, but it's a different era, right? So, but the opening of this movie, oh my God, I have forgotten how much I love the score to this movie.
Yeah, it's iconic.
Oh my God. And I'm not just talking, no, I'm talking the opening, essentially the theme of the movie. Diddlin', 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 diddlin'. It's just, it sounds like something, the orchestra, it sounds like something you'd hear today.
Yeah.
Like it holds up brilliantly. And the opening credits are just magnificent. Just a wonderful opening score and theme. How do you feel about that?
It's Hitchcock. I mean, like when I hear that theme, I think Alfred Hitchcock. You know what I mean? It's very similar in line to when you hear the Halloween theme, you think John Carpenter. You know what I mean? Immediately, it's identifiable to those two individuals. I think it encompasses all of who Hitchcock is, that sound design, not just with Psycho, but with Rear Window, Vertigo, Birds, whatever. Yeah. All those fit but when you hear the Psycho theme, to me, that just defines who Alfred Hitchcock was.
Right. And there's a sense of urgency.
Exactly.
And it's so fascinating. Janet Leigh's name doesn't come up until 30 seconds into the opening credit sequence, and Janet Leigh, sort of like an afterthought, just brilliant opening credits. And of course it's black and white. So there's, you can utilize light and shadow really nicely when things are,
the original, by the way, to you Scream fans out there, the original. And the first time we hear, we all go a little mad sometimes.
That's right. Well, that's such a, it's so great because Janet Leigh was not a good, her character, Marion Crane, was not a very, moral woman.
No, not for 1960.
No, exactly. And part of that, you can read the subtext into that she got what she deserved. Now she didn't deserve that. I'm obviously speaking metaphorically, but it's certainly, she's having she's having an affair. Isn't she not having an affair? Isn't the guy married? Isn't Sam Loomis married? I thought he was married.
I think so.
Is he married or is he attached or something? The
chat room will help us out with that.
Yeah, the chat room will help us out with that. But anyway, there's some sort of, thing going on there. And then she steals the $40,000, which at that time, $40,000 would be like us taking probably, 150, 200,000. So, I mean, she takes that, she runs away. Love the scene with the cop when she's on the side of the road getting some sleep and the cop walks up and just kind of leans in. And the way Hitchcock framed that, first of all, the guy who played the cop has this narrow face. Right. Yep. And he's got these shades on and he's in the camera and he's like this. It's like this kind of framing, sort of kind of like this. Like it's just this.
It's an intense framing.
It's an intense presence, and he doesn't smile. He's very stoic. And I love that it just keeps going back and forth between these two shots. And he's very suspicious of her and follows her around and watches her. And I thought that was nice. It's some nice creepiness in a film that is a slow burn, because obviously we don't get to the Bates Motel until probably about half an hour into the movie.
Into it, because it's about 30 minutes in, and then there's about 15 minutes of her at Bates Motel before she's killed.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
spoiler.
Yeah.
For a movie almost 60 years old.
Spoiler! Just saying. So no, but you're right. Somebody says here, one of the high says Sam Loomis is divorced. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Interesting. Recently divorced. He talks about alimony checks. Right. That's right. Okay. But I love that scene with the cop. It's very almost, dare I say, almost Spielberg.
Aberdeen. No, not Aberdeen. It starts with an A. The cop's name in the movie.
Oh, I forget his name.
Jesus, I just watched this afternoon.
So did I, and I forget his
failing.
I forget his name.
Chat room, help me out.
Aberdeen, is that what
it's
it
not
is?
Aberdeen, no, because I'm thinking of something else. It's not. I know it's not Aberdeen. It starts with an A.
Mm.
I know it starts with an A.
Asshole. No.
Yeah.
But it's funny though, because in a movie that is taking that. Oh, there we got
Arbogast. Yeah, that's right. Arbogast.
Yeah. So
I don't even think I'm saying it right, but I got it.
Yeah, whatever. In a movie that is a slow burn, that cop sequence, like the cop thing, doesn't really go anywhere, but it's not meant to go anywhere. It's that nice little sort of accent of unsettled nature for the viewing audience because we needed something, right? Like it had been a little bit, nothing, and then we add this little sort of cop cat mouse sort of thing while she trades in the car, buys the you can't tell because it's black and white, but I believe it's the pink Cadillac, isn't it, or a pink whatever it is, a Ford something. I believe it's pink.
It's Ford. I don't know if it was pink or blue, because in Halloween H2O, isn't that the same car?
Right. What is the color in H2O?
It's in H2O. It's blue, kind of like a light
blue.
Like a light blue.
Oh, is it a light blue? Okay, then maybe it's a light blue.
No,
maybe
you could be right. It could be the one that they used could have been pink.
Yeah, no, maybe you're right. Because I was thinking, I know Elvis had a pink Cadillac, but anyway, so. And not that that's a Cadillac, but it's interesting because so I love that whole thing, and then the fact that it turns to rain and thunder and she can't see very well. And I mean, that movie holds up unbelievably. Like unbelievably, that movie is incredibly shot. And I've been to the backlot where all that is. I mean, anybody who's ever been to Universal in Hollywood and taken the backlot tour, right? You go by the Bates Motel and where the house is, and that is actually where it was shot. I mean, that is it. That's the real motel and the real house, and that's where they shot it. So it was shot at the backlot of Universal, and just the way Hitchcock, the way he sets up the angle and the house at night and how it's backlit and silhouetted and this creepy house and it's just so like the nuance of camera work in that movie is brilliant. And I love, well, before I get too far ahead of myself, Tony, how did you feel about the story with Marion Crane and leading up to the shit that I've been talking about? Like, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I mean, what is there to add? I mean, you're talking about Janet Leigh, you can say one of the original Scream Queens, one of the first original Scream Queens. Yeah. Obviously, mom to Jamie Lee, for the Halloween fans. I love it how these two movies with Psycho and Night of the Living Dead we're talking about tonight, and the connection they have to the Halloween franchise as well too. Obviously, we all know Carpenter, Sam Loomis, Dr. Loomis, Sam Loomis from Psycho, Dr. Loomis, and Halloween. I love those types of connection. But as far as Janet Leigh goes, I mean, everything leading up to that shower scene, her on-screen presence, is known. She's there, and when she's there, the thing with Janet Leigh, you listen, you know, especially with me. When I'm watching her in the movie, I listen. You know, she has my attention.
Right.
I'm not drifting off thinking of other shit or whatever. Like, that's the thing that made Janet Leigh's performance in Psycho so great. And even Anthony or Tony Perkins, you know what I mean? Like, same thing with him. When he's talking and they're having that conversation in the parlor room, talking about, you know, the hobby and, you know, stuffing birds and, you know, just the little, you know, the little innuendos of, you know, foreshadowing of what is about to come, you know, even the line, we all go a little mad sometime, or
you can
feel
feel the tension.
Friend is her boy, you know, or whatever the line is, you know, you're getting all these foreshadowings of what is about to unfold here. And Hitchcock, the pacing that Hitchcock does with that is so great. You know, it's so on point. And even just before all that, when she's escaping from the town with the money in hands, and you're watching her looking at everybody, and she feels that all eyes are on her and everyone's judging her, and she's doing her best to keep, you know, everything a secret of what she just did. Again, she really absolutely commands that screen when she's on there, and I love it. I mean, it's like you sit there and sometimes try to think about who could have else played a certain part, and I just really think there's nobody could have played Marianne in this movie but Janet Leigh. I mean, she was the perfect choice for it.
Yeah, she was.
Years later, almost
100%. And that scene that you talked about at the Bates Motel in The Office was outstanding. I mean, Perkins is just brilliant in this role. And the subtleties of the things that he does, that by the end of the movie, you can look back on and go, oh, shit. Like when he goes into the, I wrote some things down here, so if I have to refer to it, I will. But when he goes into room number 1 next to the office, right? And he opens the windows. You know, his excuse is it's a little stuffy in here. So he opens the window. But in order for her, Janet Leigh, Marion Crane, to hear, you know, Norman Bates pretending to be his mother, right?
You listen here,
Mother, that's not right. Obviously that wasn't Anthony Perkins doing that voice, but you are supposed to, you're led to believe by the end of the movie, it was him. He's got a split personality in addition to all these sociological and psychological issues, and he's got this, you know, he's doing this voice, right? He's insane. And in order for her to be able to hear that, the window would have to be open. And you could make the argument that, yeah, maybe it was stuffy, or did he open the window on purpose so she could hear the argument happening?
Yeah.
Right. So that when he came down, he's justified.
See,
right?
I always thought it was that reason.
Yeah.
That it was justifying his excuse for coming back down.
Right, exactly, because he comes back down and she's very empathetic towards, you know, and then that's where it all sort of begins and the conversation. And what's so fascinating about that conversation is he's talking about himself. Yeah. Like he's talking about his mother, but really it's him, right? And when Janet Leigh says, you know, maybe you should put your mother in the you know, in a home, essentially is what he says. Or what she says, it's fascinating because you see him get upset, visibly upset. And at face value, you could take it like, oh, he's upset because she just insinuated that he should put his mother, his best friend, in a home. Well, yes, you could, on some sort of level, he's probably thinking that. But on a deeper level, on a more of a subconscious level, he's angry because he is the mother, right? So when she says you should put your mother in a home, she's basically saying you should be in a home. Maybe you should go to a home. Those are the layers that are there. And he gets so upset about it because in his mind, if he could say, I'm not fucking going in a home, he would have. But then, of course, that would have broken the whole, illusion. It's just brilliant. I mean, watch the scene again with that in mind and the back and forth between those two. Like, they're not on the set. Like, she's thinking one thing and it's clearly something else. And when he's talking about his mother, yes, there are certain instances where it is maybe maybe a little more objective and he is referring to her, the real her. But when he starts diving into it, it's like, oh, he's talking about himself, really. But he's using his mother to do that, you know? And that's what's so good about it, you know? Like, just, it's brilliant. It's absolutely, he's genuinely creepy in that movie.
Oh,
Like, genuinely creepy.
His performance is one of the best on-screen performance of a creepy individual that you could possibly get, you know, and the way how he, you know, even in the beginning there, when he's having the conversation with Janet Leigh in the parlor, you can see the tension, you know, at times build up, especially when, like, she says, don't you go out and have any friends? And he kind of, you know, pauses for, in fact, I shared that on my Instagram. I think I tagged you on that scene on Instagram, that exact.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Where he gets, like, you see that switch where he's fine.
Yes.
Then he's angry, and then he leans back with that fucking shit-eating smile on his face, like, you creepy son of a bitch.
Yes,
I love
yes.
That. I love how Perkins fucking did that.
His performance is so nuanced, you know, and the way that there's one line in here, I got to refer to it because I was taking notes. Where is it here? Oh yeah, it's when he's talking to the private investigator, right? And the investigator is obviously trying to figure out, you know, what the fuck, right?
Right.
And there's this great throwaway line. And when I say throwaway line, I don't mean in the sense that it's a line that's in this sense. I don't mean that it's a line that is tossed that's tossed away. That's important, but it's said and you're supposed to forget about it. When I say throwaway, it means he's throwing away the line, like just kind of off the cuff, like it's no big deal. But it's just the way Perkins delivers this line. He's talking to the cop and he says, pay the smell damp of. Oh,
talking about when he changed the linens.
Yes, and he says something like damn, I wrote it down here, but I'm like talking as I'm watching it. It didn't talk text very well. So he says it. I'm not going to read it verbatim because it's fucking hilarious. But he says something like, yeah, I got to change the linens. It's kind of damp, you know. Yeah, and he's something like it's kind of damp, you know. They had kind of a creepy smell. Anyway, so I think we should go like just the way he says that, the way he says kind of like a, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but he's like kind of like a, you know, creepy smell. So you want to come in? Oh, it was creepy the way he delivered that, and I didn't do it justice there because I'm not getting the line verbatim. But when you watch,
I get what you're saying. Though.
Yeah, when I watch, I was like, oh, that's so good, and the use of the way he cleans up. You know, and again, remember, this is 1960, and that shower scene was terrifying.
Physically terrifying. Absolutely.
Yes. I mean, this is 1960. This kind of visual exploitation in a big studio film was virtually non-existent.
People legit took down their shower curtains because that's how afraid they were. Like, that's the one part of, as much as I love this genre and that we're here with 2019 technology and everything, I wish I could have been around to be a part of that. You know what I mean?
An event.
And what that must have been like for people back then.
Oh, I mean, you know, in order to appreciate its true significance, and we can't ever really appreciate it firsthand because we weren't alive. But in order to exactly, but in order to be able to appreciate it to the best of our abilities, you have to think about it within context and to understand, you know, that movie in 1960. To us, it's pretty tame now, but when you look at the shower scene. And there's that shot of her and there's no music and just the running water. I mean, this is new, folks. This is a cliche today, but this is new in 1960. People hadn't seen things like this before. And you just hear the running water and the suspense that's building. And then you see the door open behind the, you know, the shower curtain, and Norman Bates, dressed as his mother. Of course, you think it's his mother at this point, you know, comes up to the shower curtain and then just rips it open and you know, wee, and just starts. It's like, and you see the knife, and it's like, holy shit, this is 1960. Like, what the fuck, you know? And I can only imagine being in that theater, going, what the fuck am I seeing? Like, what am I seeing a knife go up and come down?
I mean, coming out of 1950s, Leave It to Beaver era, everything is all honky dory and milkshakes.
Right.
That's shot. Now we're gonna see this on screen. Like,
no, dude, you're absolutely right. And it's tame for us today. Seeing a knife go up and come down is not a big deal today, right? But when you see that come up and the violentness and then the blood, which I think, what was the blood? It was wasn't it like I forget. I read this on. Yeah, it was some mixture of something. It was blood mixed with something because they needed to get it dark for the black and white film and also in the water so it doesn't, dissipate too fast. But that whole scene is brilliant. And then the shot of her eye only as the camera sort of, turns like this and comes back, the way she falls out of the tub. Everything about the scene is, dare I say...
Chocolate syrup. Chat room's hitting us up.
Chocolate syrup. That's it. Thank you, folks. Thank you. Dare I say that the scene is not just brilliant, and this is going to sound a bit of a sort of an ironic to say this, but it is classy. It's classy. It's done classy. Like it's even though in 1960 it was like, oh my God, it was unbelievable. And I love when Bates walks in to clean up and you just see the hand, the way the hand is positioned out of the tub. It's not like this, right? It's not like this. It's just like, it's that awkward sort of like, this is the natural way somebody would fall under their own body weight, dying on the floor. You fall in an awkward position or something. Love that. And the streak of blood or chocolate syrup up the side of the tub and into the tub and just, the nuance.
If we were to ever do, and maybe we will one night, we'll do our top 10 favorite kills in horror. It's probably number one for me. It is probably, to me, it is the most iconic kill scene in cinema simply because of what follows after it. You know what I mean? Right. What we get after it. We don't have that scene. We don't get what follows it. You know what I mean? Because the moment Hitchcock said, you can do this on screen, other creators were like, oh, well, okay, if he can do that, I'm going to take it up another notch.
100%. And that doesn't mean there weren't scary movies before or things that weren't scary, but it was the to see a murder happen in such a, again, think of the time period, in such a violent way, so clearly on a big screen, to a movie star, to a bona fide movie star, was unheard of. Yep. And that was just, they didn't just kill Marion Crane, they killed Janet Leigh, you see. And
the psychology impact of that afterwards and what that did to people. That's why I put it at the top of the list, because you're never going to see something like that again. You know what I mean? I know other people are going to point out, like, well, what about this kill from Nightmare on Elm Street or this, from Halloween? I probably would have a few of those on my list. But when you're talking about the impact that it made for its time, nothing's ever going to surpass what that shower scene in Psycho.
It was unbelievable. And like I said, classy done. I mean, it was just so eerie, and the way Bates just comes in and he comes in again, he's got like as if his mother actually did it, and if you're watching the movie for the first time, then,
the perfect lighting on his eyes. That's all. His face is perfectly silhouetted, and you just see the eyes, fucking, like whoever was Hitchcock. I know it wasn't him, but whoever his cinematographer was, from that reverse angle, looked towards Norman. Beautifully done. Just the lighting, everything. And like, you're talking about shit back in the day that they don't have the luxury of what we have now we can do that in 2 seconds. You know what I mean?
Right.
That took a lot of creative ingenuity for them to say, okay, I want him perfectly silhouetted, but I want to see his fucking eyes.
Right. 100%. I also, I don't like it as much as the kill in the shower, obviously, but the kill of the private detective.
Kind of has that Vertigo type effect.
It does. It's really interesting. But now think about this, folks. Okay, so we've been talking about the shower kill scene being iconic and how, my God, that was horrific and a star, and things like that. the private detective wasn't necessarily a star, but when Norman Bates comes running out of the bedroom dressed as the mother, as the detective gets to the top of the stairs, and brilliant set, by the way. That's all a sound
Absolutely.
stage. Brilliant set. When he lifts up that knife and comes down on the detective, and you see the blood come up onto his face, or the chocolate syrup, more than likely again.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God, we're seeing it again?
Right.
Like, this is the same, like, such a horrific thing that somebody comes out of a bedroom, wait, dun dun dun. It's like 1960, you know, and the blood on the face, and he's going back like this and then falls to the ground. I mean, it's like, oh my God. I mean, you just shocked your audience to being petrified of showers, and now you're just adding, you know, fuel to the fire by having another, you know, not as iconic, of course, but another visually disturbing kill on screen. And I mean, that was just, and yeah, the way he did that as he was going down the stairs, it was a really nice effect. And just would have added to the, you know, especially back then. And of course he falls onto the ground and brilliant. I had forgotten that the detective died. 'Cause again, it had been a while since I had seen it, but I had forgotten that he dies. And that was great. That was really cool. And again, up to this moment, if you're watching this for the first time, you don't know.
Do you know who's credited for
the mother
voice?
I don't, but could certainly look
I know it's
that
not
up.
Perkins, right?
It's sorry?
It's not Perkins doing the voice of his
No.
mom. It's a woman, right? Who's doing it?
I think it's a woman, yeah.
Maybe the chat room can help me out on that one. I'm always curious who actually did the voice vocals of his mom. Is there a screen credit for the person? I don't know if it's a woman or a male.
That's a good.
Did that. But I thought you might have known because voice the.
Yeah, no, I didn't even think to look at that actually. But you're right. She may or may not have even been credited. She might have been, but she may not have been.
He does the voice at the end when he's sitting there and he just gets that nice close-up look that, honestly, to me, I mean, I know Rob Zombie attempted to do that in Halloween 2 with Scout, but I mean, there's nothing going to beat Norman sitting there by himself. And, I wouldn't even hurt a fly.
Right.
I mean, just the creepiness of that in itself. Paul Jasmine. Okay. Unaccredited. Thank you, Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber giving us the info. Hans, come back from the dead. Hans.
Back from the dead.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Hey, that was a pretty good John McClane from Die Hard, I gotta say.
We need to do a Die Hard night.
We should do a Die Hard night.
Around Christmas.
Yeah. God. That's right. So yeah, I mean, just like that is the significance. And what's fascinating.
You spotted the fall wasn't that far.
What's funny too is the marketing for Psycho was really interesting because they had the psychological games that they were playing with the marketing was really interesting. They actually, I don't know if you know this, but they actually had signs up outside of the theaters saying that, there would be pictures of or like cardboard cutouts of Hitchcock, and there'd be signs saying, you must watch the movie from the beginning, and the only way to truly enjoy the movie, well, the only way to truly enjoy any movie is really watch from the beginning. But the way they like, it's, oh my God, it's this cultural event, you have to watch it from the beginning. And if the movie already began and you were late, they wouldn't let people into the theater. You would have to, even if the movie had just begun, they wouldn't allow you to go in and take your seat. There's really no reason there's obviously, you don't want to disturb anybody, but it's the manipulation they played in the marketing was brilliant as well. And, the advertising that they would do with, Hitchcock was great. So, I mean, there was a lot of fun they had with Psycho and saying, they had signs all over the place, and then, newspapers saying, keep the secret of Psycho. I'm paraphrasing, but if you know the secret, don't tell, like all these things, right? Because obviously they didn't want the ending spoiled. And that only helped, back then, I mean, there's no internet, there's no, it was like, wow, what is this? Oh my God, and, you got to go check it out, it was it was just so cool.
But you got, Janet's death, you don't want that spoiled for people.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, it's one of those. It's obviously it's forever going to hold up. That movie's going to carry on past our lifetime. You know, that's just one that's going to go generation after generation, and it should. You know, it's for me, I think it's Hitchcock's Mona Lisa. I don't discredit his other stuff. I love his other stuff, whether it's Rear Window, Vertigo, or Birds, and I'm sure we'll probably do a Hitchcock night at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
But to me, I think it is his Mona Lisa. It is his best. And it was a trendsetter. You know, it started something new for us, and we are forever in debt to him for that one scene because of where we are today with the genre in slasher. I mean,
well, that's right, and
nothing else I can say about that.
And there's a cliche that it was used with Psycho. It was used with Jaws as well. That that people were afraid to take showers. Well, you take that with a grain of salt. I mean, obviously not everybody was afraid to take a shower, but what that meant is that there were actually, it was such a cultural phenomenon that there were actually people that, like, as Tony said, that were removing their shower curtains to shower, or buying complete see-through shower curtains, or, talking about how they were uncomfortable showering and they would, would take baths. It was how it got into them psychologically that, disturbed them. And of course, the same thing happened with Jaws in 1975 in terms of going into the water. And those types of things don't really happen anymore because we're so desensitized, and there's so much that we've seen and we're aware of now that there's not too much that can affect us. But back then, I mean, that was a real thing. I mean, and they used that in the marketing as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and so, I mean, it's just so fun to think of, but Tony hit the nail on the head. I mean, if it wasn't for Hitchcock showing that we can do this on screen, that doesn't mean that somebody else would not have done it.
Exactly.
But certainly it set not a trend, but it set a bar and a new era of horror that showed you what horror is and what could be possible. And Psycho actually,
I think both of these movies fit in that what you just said, Night of the Living Dead and Hitchcock. What you just said there, both of these movies did those exact same things,
right, for their respective genres.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, on Psycho's initial release, it received mixed reviews, but it was such a box office smash relatively to the time period that it required a review from critics way back in the day, those that were doing movie critiques, I guess. And it's since, of course, looked at from a different perspective. There's a lot of layers in that movie, and Tony and I have just scratched the surface here.
Barely.
Really.
I mean, we could be here for like 5 hours talking about the layers of Psycho.
Just everything from the cinematography to the lighting to the use of light and shadow and the Bates motel. Even when she first arrived, I think it's...
Well, even the dialogue exchange, when you really break down the Psycho, your girlfriend would have a field day with that movie.
Oh, yeah.
If we were to break down the psychology of Psycho in itself. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You said there's so many layers to that film. We haven't even begun to scratch the surface, and we're coming up to the Q&A.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even the taxidermy essentially that he's got in his, in his office with the the stuffed owl and the bird, the crow, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of symbolism there too. And I love the fact that we didn't even talk about this, but I love that how he puts her in the trunk of the car and moves the car into the swamp. And the car is sinking, and then it kind of plateaus, and you see his face kind of go like this, like
exactly like that.
And then all of a sudden, and then it continues, and he's like, "No, I'm over exaggerating." He's not like, okay, but you can see it's the nuanced.
Yeah.
It's so his performance is brilliant.
Yep.
And just so great. And that movie is
now I haven't seen any of the sequels in a while. I mean, and Psycho 2, from what I remember, is solid. Is a decent sequel. Shit, I don't remember much with 3 and 4. Like, I have like still images in my head of 3 and 4. Now 4, I have a little more memory on because I know he was sick, very sick, making 4, right? Because I think he died shortly after, right, of AIDS. I think that's what he died of, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anthony Perkins actually has been dead.
longer after Psycho 4. Like he was sick, like really sick.
He was.
Psycho 4. He
was.
was very, very thin, very, 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 very thin in that movie. But I don't remember much. I know somebody asked if we could, or sent me a message if we could talk about all 4 films. I just haven't had the time to watch all 4 of them. I'm sure maybe if we wanted to come back and do a full Psycho night,
that'd be cool. 6
months from now or whatever. I'm not saying that literally, but whenever we could do a full night and talk about their respective sequels, because some of 2 was decent. I just don't remember it.
Yeah, same. No, it's been a while since I've seen the sequels. Frank Riker, our amazing moderator here, says, anyone see the Hitchcock did a little preview of Psycho with a walk through? That actually is almost dubbed the trailer for Psycho in some ways. It's like 6 minutes long. If you guys haven't checked out this walk and talk with Alfred Hitchcock way back in 1960, prior to the movie being released, he's on the back lot and he's by the Bates Motel and the Psycho house, and watch it, because he's so
he is nothing in real life like he is to the movies he made.
Yes, he's very witty, and he can be very crass, and but in a very witty, charming sort of way. He's an interesting guy, and watch that though, and he's funny. He's got a very dry, sort of sharp wit, about him, and that's a fun thing.
Sorry, I'm watching the Patriots game and they just scored a touchdown.
Nice. I thought you were showing.
And no, the trailer hasn't come up. Yeah, I've had it on here, but I haven't seen the trailer.
No, it's probably going to come up at halftime, I would imagine.
Yeah, they're 6-13 in the first, so all right. Oh. But yeah, I mean, I definitely,
or maybe not. 6:13 in the first. Maybe halftime. It'll be after 9.
The beginning of the first half. I could see that being. But yeah, as far as Hitchcock goes, Hitchcock was a lot like Wes Craven. Wes Craven was nothing. Like, you would think you're going to meet the Prince of Darkness, but he's like literally, he loved birds. Like, Wes Craven was fanatical about birds and bird watching, and looked like he stepped out of an LL Bean catalog. He just was nothing like. And it's interesting that the people that you think should be this dark and morbid person creates these epic, horror stuff. They're opposite of what they create. And I always try to tell that to people. Like, when people come into my home and they see like me in person, it's the same reaction. I'm not like this dark devil, Satan worshiping dude. I just love the genre, and I love creating photographs from the genre that I love. So I can totally understand that Hitchcock and, Wes Craven type mentality of like, we love creating this shit, but we're nothing like what you might think we are.
That's right. Yeah, no. And Wes Craven, it was funny because he actually had a very strict childhood, and his parents didn't allow him to watch movies. I believe it was only Disney films
You're right.
He was allowed to watch. And that's actually true. And he didn't watch horror or comedy, or he was not allowed until obviously later in life when he did. So it's almost ironic in some ways that he ended up being not only a film director, but a quite successful and famous one who reinvented the genre twice. Right. So that's actually kind of interesting. Yeah, I mean, man, I would love to keep going, but there's just so many wonderful things to say about it.
Movies, we were that first hour was going to go by too quick. We just weren't going to have enough time to cover.
Yeah. We'll have to revisit Psycho again and do like a Psycho night.
Or
something like that.
Agree on that.
Yeah.
So you want to do the Q&A?
Yeah, let's jump to the chat room, folks. Okay, this is.
You got to tell them, this is important for you guys to know, because we got a little special announcement, because we want to make sure you guys are well prepared for this.
Right. So
take it away, Dave McRae.
All right. So, on a special episode of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit next, I believe are we doing it on Monday, or are we actually doing it on the day?
Well, that's up to you. Are we going to skip next Monday and do it on the day? Because I can't do it this weekend because I've got my Red Bull.
Right. Yeah. I got that. Maybe we should do it on the day. That might be, but do it as a later stream, say like 9:00 maybe.
Yeah, we can do that at 9:00 at night on Thursday night.
Yeah, because in that way people are sort of, do you want to try that?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that on Do it on the 31st.
Okay. So, cat's out of the bag. Tony and I are going to do it on Halloween. We're having a special episode of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. Halloween night, Thursday, October 31st. Tony and I are going to be watching the original Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween. And we want you guys to watch along
Watch it with us.
Now, obviously, you won't be seeing the movie on screen or hearing it for copyright reasons. I don't want to get a ding on my channel because YouTube has even been demonetizing our shows, believe it or not.
What? We're not even putting copyright material on our show.
I know. There are some shows that they don't, and then others that they do. And I'm like, I don't get it. And I've requested a review, and then I get a manual review, and then I get something back from YouTube,
anymore.
I get a thing back saying, yeah, we reviewed it. Sorry, it's still not suitable for advertisers. And I'm like, we were talking about horror VHS movies. What the hell is... I just don't get it. So, obviously I want to prevent that as much as possible and not, get into YouTube's fucking... Anyway.
The point of this, guys, is we wanted to have some fun with you. Obviously, we're going to be talking a lot during the movie. This isn't me and Dave are just going to be sitting here quietly eating popcorn, and you guys are going to watch it. No, we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking about probably, Cundy cinematography, the scenes, and all that stuff like that. But we want you to kind of come along with us for the ride for 90 minutes and watch the original Halloween with us as we talk about it and have some fun. Dave will figure out a starting point, and then I'll sync it up, and then we'll probably give you guys a few minutes to join and get yourself synced up with us so that once we hit play, we're off and running, and just a fun night with you guys on Halloween.
Exactly. And the chat room will be open, obviously, and this isn't something that, Tony and I will do we'll jump into the Q&A again after the movie is done, but during the movie, Tony and I will be talking about the film, but we'll also be a little more sort of relaxed with the chat room because we know you guys are watching along with us, so there might be many times where we'll refer to the chat room as we're watching the movie as well. It's not so because we're not talking about a specific topic where we need to focus for 90 minutes. It's going to be a much more relaxed environment, so let's put it that way. So you're free to give in super chats throughout the watching of the movie. And
there's not going to be, I don't think there's going to be like we do on this traditional streams where there's going to be a start point of the Q&A. It's kind of, you can pretty much do it all throughout the whole show.
Exactly. So that's next Thursday night, Halloween night, October 31st, right here on my YouTube channel, 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The reason why we're doing 9 is just because, on the East Coast here, and certainly on the West Coast as well. If we do it at 7, it's only 4 p.m. there. That's kind of... We're not going to please everybody. Somebody's going to miss out because they're taking their kids trick-or-treating or they're doing their own, Halloween thing. So we're trying to split the difference.
9.
Sorry?
We should be good with trick-or-treaters by 9:00.
Oh, here, yeah. But so we're trying to split the difference, and do the best we can. So yeah, next Thursday night, join us. I will start marketing it, sometime in the next day or so. So okay, Q&A. There was a super chat that came in, and it was from Joe Smejon Jr. Am I saying that right? Smejon Jr. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, Joe. Much appreciated. Okay, this is off topic, but I have to know: is that Amy Vig commercial, Amo Vig commercial, one of your voiceovers, because it sounds like you. Amo Vig? I'm not familiar with what that is. Do you know what that is, Tony?
It's a typo. Maybe it's a typo.
Amo Vig? I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I'm not sure either. I think that's a typo.
It might be a typo. Just, you don't have to send another super chat, Joe. Just at me so it highlights my name, and then I'll see if you can elaborate on what Amo Vig is. I'm not sure what Amo Vig is. If Amo Vig is a product, then I can tell you, no, it's not me, because I don't remember doing a voiceover for something called Amo Vig. Let's see here. Matthew Jensen says, hey, Dave, you and Tony ever plan on doing a TD and... Oh, sorry, I read that as touchdown for some reason. Two Dudes and Some Bullshit on the Evil Dead franchise, including Army of Darkness and the remake. I don't know about the whole thing, but certainly... I wouldn't mind
doing the first 2 movies.
Yeah. That, or maybe like the original trilogy or something like that. That might be kind of interesting.
Too, yeah.
But certainly the first 2. That might be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Where did I get this hat tree? I got it from H&M for $2.
$2.
$2. It was on sale.
I like it. Jordan Stevenson says, I would love to see an edited version of Halloween 2 that removes the dream sequence in the Sam Hain scene and reconstruct the dialogue between Loomis and Marion. Oh, you're referring to the 2 Halloween videos that I recently posted on my channel talking about how the brother-sister arc was unnecessary, and I gave some solutions and ideas on how you can reconstruct those scenes that allude to it. Yeah, it'd be kind of interesting to see that. Yeah, I'd be down for that if anybody wants to do it. Super chat from The Shape. Thank you, The Shape. Says, thoughts on Goodfellas. Love it.
Well, you think I'm a clown? I amuse you?
Fucking love Goodfellas.
Same. One of my favorite gangster movies of all time. And Godfather, Scarface, those are probably my top 3 gangster movies. Angels with Dirty Faces is another good. I'm not Angels with Dirty. No, am I thinking of the right one? The one with James Cagney? Yeah, I think it's Angels with Dirty Faces. Is a Cagney movie. Public Enemy is another good one. Oh, not the Public Enemy with Johnny Depp, although that is a good one. But there's an old movie, Public Enemy, which is what I think Scarface was remade too. I think the first one is called Public Enemy, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure.
And then was remade to what you saw with Pacino as in Scarface. But I am looking forward to what's his name's movie here next month, Scorsese's. The
Irishman.
The Irishman. That looks really fun.
Yeah, it looks good. Joe says, at Dave McRae, it is a medical product. Oh, yeah. No, that's not me. No, never heard of it. Never heard of it, my friend. Never heard of it. Let's see here. The A button says, Dave, if you wanted to, you could watch The Walking Dead pilot in black and white. The pilot itself feels like a Twilight Zone episode, just like Halloween. It can completely stand on its own. Oh, very cool. I didn't know that. I might have to check that out.
What was that? I didn't hear you. You broke up on me.
Oh, the A button says, Dave, if you wanted to, you could watch The Walking Dead pilot in black and white. The pilot itself feels like a Twilight Zone episode, just like Halloween. It can completely stand on its own. It's kind of interesting.
Interesting.
Super chat from Ethan LeBlanc. Thank you, Ethan. Much appreciated. Says, love your style of Michael in your photos, Tony. And I'm super picky about how Michael looks. You keep nailing it, getting all the small details right. Keep it up.
I know how picky you guys are, believe me. So that's why I'm very attentive to these details. And if it looks bad, I don't post it. That's my philosophy. If I'm going to get shit from the horror fans, I know, don't post it. Leave it alone. It's a bad photo. It's a bad photo, not good.
It's not good. It's
Not
amazing.
good. I can't do it like you. I'm not even going to try.
It's the Canadian election today. It's our federal election today.
Did he get reelected? Did your boy get reelected?
Did my boy get reelected? That's funny. I don't know. I suspect Trudeau's going to win again, just because I suspect he's going to. But whether he'll have the majority of the House of Commons or not, I have no idea. But anyway, so that's. I'm so excited about that. I don't give a fuck about that. I can't wait for the Star Wars trailer. Let's see here.
Wrinkle, super chat. I'm gonna guess that's £5.
£5.
£5. Okay.
Yep.
How high, low would you rank Psycho among Hitchcock? Well, I just said it a moment ago. Hitchcock's movies. It's kind of right there with it because it's really hard to say, like, because, someone can argue Birds is better than Psycho, and you're right, because Birds is a great movie. Same thing with Vertigo or Rear Window.
Yeah,
you're right. Those are great movies. To me personally, Psycho is at the top. I don't know. What do you think, Dave?
For me, my favorite Hitchcock film is Rear Window, and then Psycho, for me. But I mean, ask me again 6 months from now, and I might say, you know what? I'm really digging Psycho lately. I'm feeling it. You know what I mean? And then it's like, I mean, it can be interchangeable, but I think Rear Window is my favorite Hitchcock film, followed by Psycho.
Yeah.
Psycho.
It's Psycho, Dave.
Yeah, I know that.
It's Psycho.
Followed by Psycho, and then followed by North by Northwest, maybe, or Vertigo or something. I mean, or Rope. Rope is a great.
Rope is great. Oh my God, I forgot about that one. That's another one that he did with I almost said James Cagney.
No, Jimmy Stewart.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. My name's Jimmy Stewart. I do a lot of movies with Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
That's
You know what's
right.
another great Jimmy Stewart movie, if you ever see it, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Oh, I've never seen it.
Harvey is a great one too. Harvey's another, where is it, Invisible Bunny Rabbit, whatever. Of course, It's a Wonderful Life. It's the one that everybody goes to.
Yeah.
But Michael Myers asks us a question here. What was your childhood crush back then? For him, it was Winona Ryder from Beetlejuice, which is a really fucking good one. Winona was good in that one.
Winona Ryder is very attractive.
So he's going back to 80s.
And she's 80s, and she's still very attractive today. Actually,
oh, absolutely.
She's a little neurotic, but she's attractive.
It's that neuroticness that will probably make her great in the bedroom. So I'm all for it. I'm all for some crazy Winona.
A crush in the 80s?
I'm going with the Beetlejuice time frame, right? Because Beetlejuice came out in the 80s. So if he's saying back then.
Yeah, I can't say I had a crush in the 80s. I bloomed a bit late with girls. I always thought girls were pretty. I always thought they were attractive, but I didn't really I was so into movies and everything. And then once I hit about, I'm going to say 13, that's when I started to really kind of, and then by 14, it was like, but I wasn't like, I always thought, oh, that girl in my class is pretty or cute or whatever. But I was, I was into hockey and I was playing sports and stuff. So I didn't really have a crush, a celebrity crush per se in the 80s. My big one in the 90s, of course, I mean, everybody knows, well, those who know me for a long time know it was Jennifer Love Hewitt. Yeah. But so in the 80s, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've said it before.
Winona Ryder's a good one.
Yeah, Winona's great. For me, Danielle Harris was probably the first girls I noticed at the time when I saw Halloween 4, because I was 10 when I saw Halloween 4, so we're about the same age. I was like, oh, okay, who's this cute little girl that I'm drawn to? But I would say as far as like legit crush, like being a young teenager, it's a toss-up between... See, I had Jenny Garth on my wall, the blonde from Beverly Hills 90210, because she was just fucking hot. But I also had Pam Anderson's Baywatch poster on my wall. I'm trying to think of like who I had on my wall next to all my metal posters and bands that I had up there. But I did have some girls, and I had Pamela Anderson up there. I also had Carmen Electra up there.
Carmen Electra!
I mean, I also had
Farrah Fawcett. No,
Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell.
Kelly Kapowski.
Blank on her name. Yeah. So those were some of the girls that I had on my wall, mixed in with all my metal stuff that I remember growing up.
Yeah, I didn't. Again, I didn't have posters on my wall. I had a lot of Jennifer Love Hewitt. I mean, listen. I think
Nicole Eggert. That's right. I had Nicole Eggert on my wall. But I didn't have Nicole Eggert from Charles in Charge, which is fucking hot in there. But I had the Baywatch poster of Nicole Eggert.
I tend to, and it wasn't until my girlfriend actually pointed this out to me, and she kind of has this look too. So, but I didn't think of this consciously, but I guess I'm attracted to that girl next door kind of vibe, and not necessarily look. Attractive is attractive. It's not that if you don't, if you're more model-like with bolder features per se, that I'm not going to be attracted to you or, whatever. But I tend to be more attracted to that. So Winona for me, if I was into girls at that time, yeah, I probably would have definitely totally been into her because she kind of has that girl next door kind of vibe to her. But it's funny. I think I've told this story before. I'll be quick about it. When I was in college years ago, I remember I didn't realize how bad it was when 4 people, my father, my best friend, and 2 people at college all bought me the same Jennifer Love Hewitt calendar for Christmas. And it was funny because I opened one on Christmas morning, and then that evening, my friend was coming over. He's like, "Hey, Merry Christmas, man." It doesn't sound like that. I'm just doing that voice for, comedic effect. And he's like, "Hey, man, Merry Christmas." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks." And I'm like, "This looks like a calendar." He's like, "You're going to love it." And I'm like, I open it. I'm like, the same one. And then I get to college and everyone's like, "Here you go." And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm not that bad, am I? So I had 4 Jennifer Love Hewitt calendars, the same calendar. And did I put them all up on my dorm room wall? You damn fucking right I did. Anyway. I thought that was kind of funny.
I like Anthony T's super chat question. Kill, marry, or fuck? Jamie Lee Curtis, Neve Campbell, or Jennifer Love Hewitt? This is going to be easy for me. I fuck Jennifer Love Hewitt. Sorry, Dave, but I would just for 1 minute. I'd kill the shit out of fucking Jamie Lee Curtis, and I'd marry Neve Campbell because I wouldn't mind tapping that every day for the rest of my life.
What are the
marry, kill, fuck?
Yeah,
you got to marry one, fuck one, kill one.
Oh, I'd probably
I would
okay.
marry Jennifer Love Hewitt. That's got to be the obvious.
Well, yeah, but that's just because I think she's got a sort of an attractive, sweet personality, to her. Maybe a little too bubbly for me, but you can get used to it. I don't know. And then, sorry, Mary killed. I'd kill Jamie Lee Curtis because
I think it's every Halloween fan's gonna say that. You just finally want to see Laurie gone,
I think it's about time she died, so I'm gonna off Jamie Lee Curtis, and then Nev Campbell. I'll what are my options again? The fuck, fuck, okay, there you go. Yeah, they're my options.
Someone that you could have a very cool, fun relationship with. She always strikes me as that type of person. Whenever I see her at conventions, talking to the audience, she seems very chill and just a really fucking cool person.
It's because she's Canadian.
That too. That too.
That's why.
Isn't the other one too? Love Hewitt? Isn't she Canadian?
No.
Oh,
no, she was born in Texas, I think. Let me see here. All right, a couple super chats came in. I don't want to miss them. That's the Goodfellas. Ethan LeBlanc got that one. Got the Tommy Ricknall one. Frank Riker says D&T top 3 Kurt Russell movies. Oh, Jesus. Off the top of my head, and I'm just going to go with off the top of my head, the top 3 Kurt, and this is in no particular order.
These are your personal faves.
Just personal faves. I would say Overboard with Goldie Hawn. Just love it. It's so good. Breakdown. Love that fucking movie. And The Thing.
I'm going to go. See, you took my Overboard. That would be one. But since you used that is definitely one of mine. So that would be a 4th one. But I'll do 3 fresh ones. Nope, you took The Thing as well, too. Fuck! I got none left. No, Big Trouble, Little China. I love that flick. And I love Backdraft. I really love Backdraft.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good movie.
I think Ron Howard directed that, I think. I think he did.
I don't remember.
I think he did. The Shape. Thank you very much. The Shape says, any plans on discussing
Tombstone.
The Shining?
Thank you, Popeye. Yeah, Tombstone's another great Russell movie.
Tombstone is good. Yep, yeah. That is good. The Shape says, any plans on discussing The Shining? Yes, but Tony and I haven't figured out whether we want to do... obviously we're going to do a Kubrick night and The Shining will be in there, but we haven't made up our mind yet whether we want to just do also a Shining night, because that movie, you could just do a show on that movie alone.
It's possible, given the fact with Dr. Sleep coming out here in a month, that maybe we could do a Shining night and then also come back and do a Kubrick night later on.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, but it's definitely something we've discussed about doing.
Right. Yeah, that's intense. Let's see here. PC Pierce says, Dave, are there differences between voicing Freddy and portraying Freddy? Will the eccentric expressions of some of your voices translate to film? Great question, PC. Yes, there definitely is a difference. When I am voicing Freddy Krueger, if I was to voice him in a cartoon, there's definitely, or just do voiceover, there's certain things I can do with my face to achieve a certain effect that I wouldn't be able to do when I'm on screen. So, yes, there definitely is a difference, but the embodiment of, I can't wait to get into the makeup. And for those of you that don't know, and again, please, if you can, help support us on the Indiegogo campaign, link in the description for Dylan's New Nightmare. What's really cool is Nora Hewitt, who's a Hollywood special effects makeup artist, Tom Savini School of Makeup graduate, winner of season 9 of Face Off. She's doing my makeup. And while I'm in Hollywood next month attending the Voice Arts Awards, she's going to do a cast of my face. It's full on, like Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund, sit in a chair makeup. It's not the silicone masks. Now, the silicone masks are amazing. Right. But for the purposes of bringing that extra bit of authenticity there, Cecil and Nora said, for the close-ups, we want to be able to, you want to see the nuance, the way the makeup wraps around my lips and my eyes. And so you're like, oh, that's not a mask. Like that dude is decked to the gills in what looks like a real face. And Nora wants to do that. So, I mean, I can't wait to get into that and look at myself in the mirror and see how that affects my body and my posture, right? And how it affects my walk, and how it affects my looks as I turn. Because you hear a lot of actors say that when they get into the costume or the makeup and they start to see themselves in the mirror, they find those nuances and that stance or that little lip or something, because they're the character now, and they can see it, and all the insecurities that you would have potentially performing without the makeup on is lost. You lose yourself in the character because you don't have to worry about, what color your hair is, or whether you got gray hair, or whether you got a bald spot, or or whatever the case is for anybody. You lose yourself in the character. So that's what I'm excited about. So yes, there is a difference. And the trick is to find that medium and to bring what I do with Freddie as a voice, bring it into the body and sort of find that happy medium so it doesn't look like I'm going like this, right? Like I could do with voiceover. I got to kind of find that nice sweet spot. And I'm excited to do it. I'm just thrilled and just can't wait. So thank you, PC, for the question. Great question. Okay, a lot of super chats coming in here, guys. Really appreciate it. The next one after that. Sorry, I just want to get to them so I don't miss them. Anthony T, thank you. Anthony says, kill, marry, or... Oh, we already did that. Okay, awesome. Dread meme or whatever, 77. Thank you, buddy. Much appreciated. Says, Dave, any update on the Halloween friendship? On the Halloween friendship vids? Will the series continue? Come on, man. I want to know what happened next. Oh, Halloween friendship vids. Oh, my. I'm like, Halloween friendship? Oh, you mean this guy right here? Well, come on, fuck you, man. Come on. You mean that guy? No, I'm sort of waiting a bit before I do a third one, because I did 2 right in a row, and I want to just kind of leave it a little bit. So, because if I did a third one so close to the 2 that I did, people would be like, okay, it's kind of funny, but, novelty's wearing off a little bit. If I wait a little bit and then come back, then, people are sort of ready for it. So there will be more.
That's exactly, dude. That's the formula of my posting on Instagram. I always like to try to spread it out and not, I mean, I could easily just do all Michael, but like you just said, the reason why I don't do all just Michael, people would, the novelty, the excitement of when my next Michael or Ghostface picture or Jason or Leatherface or whatever, it loses that charm.
That's right.
When you spread it out and you change it up, it keeps people on their toes like, oh, what's he going to do next?
That's right.
That's exactly a perfect reason. And I think what you're doing with that is awesome. I think it's funny as shit.
Oh, you watched it?
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. That's just hilarious. There's a lot of truth. A lot of fucking truth to those videos.
Well, and believe it or not.
The thing is, though, hold on.
The
bad thing about why there's a lot of truth is that when you and I were growing up, it was nothing like that at all. You could make my friend Devin, who's moving down here with his wife. They just settled in here. And they're in Georgia now. We've been friends for 20 plus years. Our friendship started because we started talking about Halloween 6. That's how it started. We didn't fight. We didn't debate. But that's how our friendship developed because of that movie. And we've been friends 20 plus years. That's how it was. Nowadays, it's so true because it's real. People just like, what the fuck? Why are we fighting with each other, man?
Oh, yeah.
Just be here talking and having fun with this shit.
And believe it or not, both of those videos were 100% completely improvised. Now, to be fair, I'm and I'm not tooting my own horn when I say this, but I'm good at doing that kind of thing. It's not very hard for me to improvise that kind of thing, but also the material also, writes itself. I mean, it's not for somebody who's good at improvising and coming up with characters and talking. Let's face it, I like to talk.
Legit, dude, you could just pull from the comment sections on other people's video and use your dialogue right there.
I could. And that's what I mean. So it's a combination of being able to get in my car, and I get in my car, I set up my phone. I'm like, okay, well, I know what I'm going to do. So I just do it. The trick is really not just in what I'm saying. The trick is making you, obviously, I'm not talking to anybody else, but the trick is all in the nuance of making it feel and look like I'm actually having a conversation. It's the nuances of being interrupted by the other person, right? So it's that, oh, come on, man. No, I'm not. No, I didn't say.
Yeah, but that's not what I meant, man.
Right? He's interrupting me.
Yep.
So it's those nuances that make it feel like, even though I'm not, you can get lost in the illusion that it sounds like a real conversation, right? And there's the pauses are the correct pauses for the other person to say what they're going to say. And so it's fun. I mean, I'm good at improvising. I was on a couple of improv teams way back in the day in high school and college and stuff. And so I have some experience, but I mean, I can't take all the credit. I mean, the material speaks for it. It's really easy to do that kind of a thing. You know what I mean? It's fun stuff. Bob McFuckercake says, favorite and least favorite Halloween candy. Also, will you guys ever meet up in person one day? Thanks for the super chat, Bob. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Definitely we're going to meet up in person. 100%. Absolutely. We just got to intertwine our schedules to make that happen.
Favorite candy? I got to go with two classics, Kit Kat and Reese's. Those are my two favorite, Kit Kat bars and Reese's peanut butter cups.
I think my favorite Halloween candy, because it's so Halloween to me, would be, I don't think you guys have the Rockets, right? The Rockets,
yep. And
definitely the single peanut butter
cups. Yeah.
I mean, it's fucking awesome shit. Let's see here.
Chats, because you got a lot that came in there.
I know. I just want to get to them. Ethan the Blog says, thoughts on the movie Signs. I watched it last night and I had forgotten how much I liked the movie. Very unsettling with a great plot. I love Signs until the last 15 minutes. I hated the fact that they essentially beat up the aliens with a baseball bat. And I was like, oh, I hated that. I love everything about Signs.
What's Joaquin's character's name in the movie? I know the line is "Swing Away." What's his name? Tell Swing Away. What's his name?
I forget his name. I haven't seen it in a while. I totally forget.
It starts with an M, I think, right? I want to say Merlin, but I don't think it's Merlin.
Merlin?
I'm thinking Merle.
Merle. You were close.
I was close.
You were close. Nick with a super chat says, ever see Hitchcock, The Making of Psycho flick? Oh, the one with Anthony Hopkins and what's her face? Helen Mirren. No, I haven't. I have to watch that. Have you seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
No. I think that's the one you're talking about, right? Hitchcock, The Making of Psycho. Yeah, it is. Okay, a few... Movie Chat and More says, I've always wanted to know if you are more passionate about Halloween or Star Wars. I think I'm probably more... I'm more passionate about Star Wars in a bigger sense because I think I've liked more of the movies, but I think I know more about Halloween. Like you know how there's some people that are full on like, oh my God, nerd when it comes to Star Wars, like they know about all this and this and this. That's what I'm like with Halloween, right? I mean, you guys watch my fucking videos.
So the layer of the symbolism
and like I go fucking full on, right? So I'm like that with Halloween, but I think I liked more Star Wars movies. So I don't know.
For me, the older I think it's just because of my age now. I just, or maybe because of the toxicity that is coming with Star Wars.
Oh, that's true too.
I'm so checked out on that franchise now. I mean, I love the 03 trilogy. Yeah. And in fact, I can watch Revenge of the Sith and the original 3 and I'm good. I don't need to watch any more Star Wars movies. I get my Star Wars fill. Halloween's never been like that for me. Halloween, I've never checked out on it at all. Even though, we've debated. There's things about the 2018 film I don't like. There's people who love the 2018 film. We don't see eye to eye. But at the end of the day, I've never fully checked out on the franchise. Right. I have issues with Halloween 5 and 6 and H2O, and I don't even fucking think about Resurrection. But again, having said that, I've never checked out on it. I've always kept it relevant into my life. It's something that I've always been passionate about. I don't think that I can ever see that changing at all. Right. I think like you with that, like I stay embedded into it with the exception of now I've made the conscious decision to not know what the fuck's going on with the film production with these 2 new films because I want to go into it fresh. I don't want to know what's going on, which is why I know Robert Fitoff has been asking you here thoughts on Jamie Lee Curtis being done with filming Halloween Kills as of last week. I mean, I don't know if that's a question you can answer at a later time, because I really, like I said, I don't want to know nothing. I don't want to know. I've seen the Haddonfield Hospital, and that's all I want to know. Like, but if it's a question that you think you can answer without spoiling anything, then go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think I can. I'll finish off though by saying that what was the question I was just answering? I forget now. It was the
Star Wars Halloween, which one?
Oh, right. Yeah. So I can't say that I'm more passionate about Star Wars per se, but I think it's yeah, I mean obviously I'm very passionate about Halloween as well, but it's really hard to say. Movie Chat and More, I think, was the one that asked that. I lean toward Star Wars because I've liked more of the movies, but at the same time I know more about Halloween, and if you know more about something, I like talking about Halloween more. So maybe it's Halloween. I don't know. It's interesting. I haven't really thought about it. Let me see. Oh, and what was the... Oh, Robert Fitoff said...
it was Robert's question. He had asked it a few times. Thoughts on Jamie Lee Curtis being done with filming Halloween Kills. Is that anything that I have to leave the room for, or no?
No, no, I don't think so, because there's a lot of people returning. So this is really self-explanatory. Yeah, so I'll just say this. She shot for about 8 or 9 days. That is pretty quick. But that doesn't necessarily mean that she's only going to, be in the movie for 3 minutes. I mean, Donald Pleasance was on set for 5 days, and he's in the movie, a lot. But when you think of Halloween Kills and you think of the ensemble that's there, think of the returning characters. So you have Jamie Lee Curtis, you have Karen, you have Allison, you have, Tommy Doyle, you have Lindsay Wallace, you have Brackett, you have Lonnie Elam, you have Marion Chambers. There's a lot of people returning. And if Jamie Lee Curtis is correct and she's not just being, hyperbole for hyperbole's sake, per se, if I can say that. And Halloween Kills is going to be about deconstructing a lot of what happened in the 78 film, then that means that you have to give screen time to all these characters. So Jamie Lee Curtis could have shot her role, but that doesn't mean that her role is all going to be presented to us in one lump sum. So it's entirely possible that, we know that the movie likely picks up where the first one left off, and, in the hospital, and maybe she's in the hospital for the first portion of the movie or something, and we dance back and forth. So we see her in the hospital getting treated. Maybe that's where she meets Brackett, who knows? And then we go out here to see something, and then we come back to the hospital, and then we go out there to see, and then we come back to the hospital. So she's in the movie throughout, and she's in the climax, but she's not the central focus. Right.
She's in the climax.
Right. But she's not necessarily the central focus like she was in the 2018 film, because now you have all these other returning characters that need screen time as well. So I think that that's probably what it means. I don't think it means that she has a cameo or that she dies in the movie necessarily. I think it just means that her role, although prominent throughout the movie, and she's a presence, this is how long it took to make it. So, or to shoot it, I should say. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I mean, she was only on set for, it wasn't that much longer for the first movie. So, these things happen.
There you go. I wouldn't too much worry. More super chats.
Jesus, you guys are amazing. Let's see here. DreadMem77 again says, Dave, Tony, do you think they are filming Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends at one time, or do you think they'll film Halloween Ends after the release of Halloween Kills? Well, actually, from what I've heard, they are not shooting back to back. I mean, for all intents and purposes, they're shooting back to back because it's the next movie that David Gordon Green's going to do. I don't think he's doing another project in between. But no, they're not.
In the sense that they're doing it now, and they'll probably be filming the next one next year.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I believe what's going to happen is they're going to wrap up. I think the plan is to wrap up 10 days from now. I think they're probably going to wrap up on Halloween. I think that's
about a month production. That's
6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the plan. Don't hold me to that, but I think that was, what I heard. And then, but it might be a day before, a day after, who knows? And then there's going to be a bit of a break, probably for the rest of the year, get through the holidays, things like that. And then now there's always things they're doing. They're working on pre-production for Halloween Ends, but in terms of shooting, they'll probably shoot it, early next year, January, February, maybe March. I don't know. Something like that. That's what I think is going to happen.
For Halloween 2018, they shot that in January.
Yes, exactly. Or, who knows, right? I'm not there. Maybe we'll find out that, no, they're going to shoot it, later or earlier. I have no idea, but I think that's the plan. Thank you for the super chat. Frank Riker says, Dave and Tony, was there ever a photo or voice session you wish you could have done better at? Oh, yeah.
Everyone.
I would say every... Well, I get what you're saying.
Let me rephrase that. If you ever get an attitude that you think you're the shit and that you can't improve on your shit, then you need to get out of this fast. Like every photo that I post on Instagram, I'm always sitting there like, I could have done this, or I should have done this, or fuck, why didn't I think of this? And that's every time. The worst thing to be is a creator. It really is, because you're constantly like, well, why didn't I do it like this? And when it comes to paying clients, it's even elevated that much more.
100%.
And that's what I mean by that. Would you agree? Or
yeah. Oh yeah. No. 100%. It's funny though. There have been. I'll speak about auditions. There have been many auditions that I have done where I have gone. There's been auditions where I've gone into the studio downtown Toronto. Most auditions I do from home, but every now and then I'll have to go into a studio downtown. So I walk in and I deliver my audition, and I think it was great.
Yeah.
I feel good about it. I leave the studio. I feel really good about it. I never hear a thing. And then I see the ad on TV or, whatever it is, and it's somebody else, and it's fine. You never know why you're not chosen. It could have been down to me and that other person, right? You just never know why you're not chosen. It's never personal. But then there's also been auditions where I've left thinking, fuck, I just sucked. I just, for whatever reason, think I sucked. To you, you'd be like, no, you were fine. But to me, the artist, as Tony, I'm sure there's a lot of photos that Tony could show you and you'd be like, dude, I think that's amazing. He's like, nah. You know what I mean?
It's everyone.
It happens all the time. So I leave and I'm driving home and I'm in traffic, Toronto traffic's, it's some of the worst in North America. And, I'm sitting there and I'm like, fuck, God damn. And all of a sudden my agent, sends me an email or whatever, and you booked it. And I'm like, what?
Dude, that happened to me for when I got the Red Bull job that I'm doing a commercial shoot this week for Red Bull.
That's great.
I walked out of the meeting like, I fucking blew this thing. Like, I blew it. Like, nope, I'm not going to get it. And then 3 hours later, I got an email. I got the fucking job. I'm like, well, what the fuck? Okay.
Right.
And now I'm already criticizing myself, and the shoot's still 2 days away from starting. And like, yeah, then that's the way it is. I think having a mentality like that and like what you're describing there always keeps the hunger alive to want to do it.
It does.
And to really work hard at your craft and never get
does. Like for example, I can't say too much because I just signed an NDA, but there's a series that I recently am dabbling in and auditioning. And I spent about 2 or 3 days perfecting my auditions and sending them in. And it's a tough, it can be tough, because I want to stand out and things like that. So it's, I can't say anything beyond that because, like I said, I signed an NDA and I can't. But hopefully if I get a call back, which would be a second audition, and I know the casting director personally, she's Emmy nominated and she's great. And the series sounds like a lot of fun, but I want to work with her again because she's great. So hopefully I'll get a call back and get a chance to go in and do a second audition and see and let the chips fall where they may. But when I was doing those first round of prelims, as I call it, you're in the booth and you're perfecting stuff and that's not right, that's not this. So yeah, there's always things like that. 100%. Okay, we'll go for a few more minutes here. A few more minutes. I want to get prepared for this trailer that, I don't know, has the Star Wars trailer dropped yet?
I'm watching it. We're kicking the shit out of the Jets right now. Before the half, we're up 24-0. And no, they haven't. I've been monitoring it now.
All right.
Hey, by the way, a little fun fact.
Yeah.
My favorite sequel in the Halloween franchise, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, was released today, October 21st, 1988.
Sorry, say that again?
Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, was released today.
Oh, I did not know that. Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers was released today. I wonder...
October 21st, 1988.
I wonder if...
How about releasing a movie really close to Halloween?
Yes. I wonder if... Oh, I hear a bit of an echo. That's. I know it's not your fault. It's the feed. Let's try this again. Blah, blah, blah. Hello, 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 hello. I remember back in 1988 when we were 9.
Now 31. It's 31 years old today.
That's true. In 1988, when we were 9, I remember my brother Neil going to see Halloween: The Curse of Michael. Halloween: The Return of Michael Myers in the theater, and his friend was taking him, and I remember him in the kitchen going, "Tonight I'm going to see Halloween 4: The Return of Michael Myers." I just remember him doing this. You know, it's funny that, and I wonder. I don't know if that was the day of the release or if that was a week later or something. I'm not sure. But it was for his 18th birthday, so maybe it was his birthday. Maybe I'm not sure because his birthday is October 29th. But it'd be funny if it was the day of the release, because that would mark the 31st, 31 years ago of
31 years today. Today marks the day. That's what I meant by being released today. It was released 31 years ago today.
30.
So that's cool that we're doing a stream on the anniversary. It by far is my favorite sequel in the franchise. It's still holds up, love it, and yeah, that's a little fun fact. So
yeah, I didn't know that. That's really cool. Okay, let's see here. Bobby Hall says, I saw Halloween 4 in a theater in Hollywood last year for its 30th anniversary. Got to talk with Alan McRae and Alan Howarth, and got pics with them and Danielle Harris. Nice. That's awesome. The Film Addict says, hey, Dave and Tony, do you guys think Michael Keaton would have been a great Joker if he didn't play Batman? I always thought Keaton plays a villain very well. Want to get nuts? I love that line. You want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Let's get nuts.
No,
maybe.
Because you're telling me no Jack as Joker, and that's hard to remove.
But what about Keaton in? Well, yeah, that's true. That is true.
It's hard to replace Jack. It really is.
But on his own merits, could he have played?
Oh yeah, of course.
An interesting Joker. Yeah, I think he could have. Let's see here. The Trash Stash. I love that. The Trash Stash. Oh, he's talking to the Film Addict. Okay, he's not talking to us.
Hey, you know what we need to do? Because I've been on a binge watch. I've watched this a couple times since Apple has finally released it digitally, which is A Stranger Calls. Finally, like a week or so ago, it was released, and I've watched it a couple of times now, and I was like, damn, this is a really fucking good movie. I forgot how good that movie is.
The original from 1979?
With Carol Kane?
Yes. It's pretty slow throughout the middle. But it's got certainly the first 20 minutes are iconic.
Oh my God, yeah. Why haven't you checked the children?
Have you checked the children?
He's so like, have you checked the children? He's just very kind of calm like that. It's very creepy. Yeah, that's good. And you know what? I got to admit, although I haven't seen it in a long time, I didn't mind when I first saw it, the 2006 remake. I mean, I'm not saying it's... Is
that the Selma Blair one?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. And I think it's her. And what's interesting is that they take the first 20 minutes of When a Stranger Calls and they turn it into that's the whole movie of the 2006 version, essentially. And I didn't mind it. I thought it was I thought it was all right. There's actually for those of you that may not have seen it, there's a movie on my channel called The Intruder, and it's a little independent film that I made almost 10 years ago. It was 2011. And just low budget independent movie called The Intruder. And it's based on the first 20 minutes of When a Stranger Calls. And I wrote it, directed it, shot it. And I'm also the voice of The Intruder.
So the real question is what would Trump sound like doing When a Stranger Calls?
Oh God.
Can you do it?
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. He's like, you know,
Hello? Have you checked the kids? The kids need to be checked. They're tremendous kids. You're not checking the children. Check the children, okay?
Something like that. I don't know.
Like
They're
that.
tremendous kids. They were great. I love them. Check the kids now. Brr, hello? Why haven't you checked the kids? I want to know why you haven't checked the kids, okay?
That's good.
Holy jeez, Todd Fayer, super chat. Thanks, buddy. Really appreciate it. Thanks for supporting the channel. Hey guys, what's up? Have a good night. Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. It helps keeps these shows going, buddy. Joe Smidgen Jr. says, no one beats Mark Hamill's Joker. Well, hey, you know what? He
as the
does a great
animated
Joker.
I agree. As the animated Joker, no one beats Mark Hamill as animated Joker. I think Joaquin personally is the best now.
No, he was, but again, it's a different kind of Joker.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not even, I mean, I know it's a superhero movie, but it's not even a superhero movie for all I mean, it's a psychological thriller. So, you know, you've heard me say this before, but you can't compare them.
Have you seen this dumb shit with Jared Leto in the Joker movie? And dude, he is acting so salty. It's just like, bro.
Oh, is he acting like a little bitch?
Oh, man. It's just like, bro, you're a great actor. I would never, ever criticize Jared Leto as an actor, but let's just face it, dude. Joaquin danced circles around you, bro. That's just the bottom line. You got outperformed. You got outacted by a great actor. So to be acting the way he is and all salty, it's like, dude, let it go. You're a great actor. You're just not Joker. That's it.
100%. I agree with that. What's the time to halftime there?
We are at 6 minutes, so we're almost at the half. You want to hang in there for the half and see? I don't mind hanging. That's why I got it on here.
Yeah, well, what's the half? Are they 12 minutes?
Halftime is an intermittent. Yeah, it's like 12-minute break. I got to
No. Like, how many minutes?
6 minutes until the half.
6 minutes till the half. Okay, yeah, so let's do it. I know there's, you know, stops and starts depending on if they run or pass or if the ball's out of bounds or whatever. But okay, yeah, we'll do that. And then that's nice because we can wrap it up and then we can get off and watch the trailer. Because it'll air on ABC first,
And then
but it'll be immediately up online like within seconds. Zach Axiola says, is it true that Charles Cyphers is returning as Lee Brackett in Halloween Kills? I've heard so many rumors like that. Yes, I don't know if you're being facetious, but yes, it has been confirmed now. He is coming back. Let's see here. Frank Riker says, thoughts on Last Blood's awful box office receipts? I still have yet to see it.
I haven't seen it yet either, so I can't judge it. I don't.
But that
box
doesn't
office
surprise
numbers.
me.
I don't base. There's great movies that didn't do well at the box office. In fact, I can give you a couple of them that that are really good that don't have great box office numbers. I haven't seen that one, but for example, Fighting with My Family. I think that's the WWE.
The wrestling one, right?
Yeah, that's really fucking good movie. It didn't do nothing at the box office. Only made
it was good.
40 million, which is in comparisons when you think of today.
Yeah. What was its production budget?
That I don't know. Blinded by the Light is another good one. Ready or Not, which is a horror movie. That's a surprise. Enjoy.
Yeah, it's got that girl I went to high school with in it.
Yeah, and that only made I think at the time when I got this info about a month ago, it made only like 40 million. I don't know what it's done. 44 million. I don't know what it's done since then. So box office numbers to me, I don't. That holds no weight.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it depends on how you look at. Like Tony's absolutely right, but it depends on how you look at it too. Because if I make a movie that costs me $1 million, and it makes $25 million at the box office, I mean, okay, maybe not a lot of people saw it, but that also depends on how many theaters it was playing in, what the competition was, what my marketing budget was like. If I make a movie for $1 million, that's probably going to spend $1 million on marketing. So at the end of the day, it probably costs $2 or $3 million, and then it makes $25 million. Well, I've made about $20 million on that movie. That's really good. And at the end of the day, that's all the studios care about is whether it makes money or not. However, I think because of the IP of what Rambo is and its Last Blood and its Sylvester, you hope that but Rambo from 2008 didn't make much more, I don't think, than what Last Blood did. So, I mean, I love Stallone. He's one of the most iconic actors of all time, one of the most iconic action stars of all time. He's a legend. He's going to go down in history. But, I follow him on Instagram and I see him posting, and I say this with the utmost respect, he's looking his age now.
Yeah.
And I'm not, listen, when I'm 72 or however old he is, I hope I look like him. But I don't know if he's had work done or what it is, but he's starting to look somebody, and these are not my words, okay? This is somebody that I read in the comments section, and I laughed because I thought I can see why they said that. There was an interview that he was doing, and I guess it was depending on the lighting. And, you know, it looked like he had drawn on eyebrows, and he almost looked like he was a cross-dresser. And so, like, he looked sort of like he was I don't know. And the way they said that, and I'm looking, I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see what they're saying. He's really showing his age a bit now, and I don't know if he's had work done or not. Now, again, that doesn't mean that he doesn't bring out all the stops in Last Blood. I'm just saying Stallone, not just Last Blood, but Stallone himself as a property, as an IP, is starting to kind of waver like Arnold is.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, the only people really going to see Last Blood at the end of the day are people like you and I who grew up with Sylvester Stallone and are there for nothing more than the nostalgia factor. It's not drawing in people who are 15. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't people who are 15 that go, or, you know, 18. I'm just saying, generally speaking, my buddy's kids are not going to see Rambo Last Blood. If I ask my buddy Bruce, who his oldest son is 18, hey, did Mateo go and see Last Blood? He'd be like, no, he doesn't fucking care about Sylvester Stallone. You know what I mean? Like, generally, that's not the audience, right? So it's only going to make us, which is why they only want to make these films for a certain amount. So, but I agree with what, you know, Tony said too.
Also, a big factor is we are in a different time. You know, that type of macho-ism type movies just doesn't fly, like, especially in the current world that we live in. It doesn't hold that type of weight.
Well, what stunned me, and I don't want to get off on a tangent on this. I just want to say that I say this, I wasn't really, but I kind of was, because I was like, well, I know this is the era and the culture we live in, but talk about grasping at straws. And I haven't seen the movie, but, you know, the movie was accused of being racist because it painted the drug cartel as Mexican, right? So there's this idea that, oh, the Mexicans are, and I'm thinking, that's not what the, like, it's too much. It's so absurd and so ridiculous and so extraneous and just silly and comical to me that people are taking it this far now, and when it has nothing to do, the guys were just, it's a Mexican drug cartel. You know what? There are lots of Mexican drug cartels, just so you know. And just because they chose to utilize that in the movie doesn't mean that they're being racist. And so, anyways, I don't want to go off on a tangent about that, but when I see things like that, I put my head down and I think, oh my God, you know, and I'm not a religious person, but for the sake of the saying, God help us, you know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ, like, it's just ridiculous, you know, of how far these things go. So there's, you know, Tony's right. I mean, there's a lot, the culture is just not, you know, there anymore for these kinds of things, unfortunately. Yep. Zed Go RZ Skate 45. Thank you very much. Yeah, of course, I said Zed for you Americans. That's how we say Z up here in Canada. I think we should say Z, by the way. I think it should be Z because it rhymes with the rest of the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. I always thought that, you know, it's silly that we say Zed. The British say Z as well, I believe, which is, I think, is where it comes from. But it's anticlimactic. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, L, M, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Just kind of feels weird to me. But anyway, Zgo RZ Skate 45 says, you guys like Joe Bob Briggs. Who's Joe Bob Briggs?
I have no idea.
I love that Tony was about to go, I have no fucking idea. Tony has spoken.
I don't know. Joe Bob Briggs. I don't know. I know Jason Briggs.
Yeah, I don't know who Joe Bob Briggs is. I'm sorry you had to pay for that question.
Yeah. I feel bad now.
Yeah, but hey, I mean, there's no guarantees. Let's see here. Chastity Smith says, or is it Chastity? Dave and Tony, what do you guys think of the Joyride movies, especially the original with Paul Walker? I've only seen the original, and I really liked the movie.
Yeah, it was good. From what I remember, it's been a long time since I've seen that. But yeah, no, I thought it was fine.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, Tony, you pick one there. Whatever one.
Where are we at? We're at the 4-minute mark. There just went to commercial. So let's see.
Okay.
What are we watching? People were asking. I'm watching Monday Night Football because, well, one, the Patriots are playing. I'm a Pats fan. Two, they're going to show the Star Wars Last Rise, whatever, Skywalker. Yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
They're going to show a new trailer for that. So that's.
Yep.
I'm monitoring here for Dave to let him know.
Yes, and then once the halftime hits, then we'll call the show a day.
Yes. It was a good question, and I'm trying to get back up to it because there was a lot that came through. You got
Grave Warmer says, "Who's one underrated actor or actress of our time, in your opinion?" Underrated.
Underrated. I don't know. Would Jason Bateman fall in that category? He's not really considered an A-lister, but he's definitely.
I don't know if he's underrated per se. I think he's typecast.
Definitely typecast.
Underrated
actor.
Underrated. Because that can be very subjective too.
It is because your favorite actor is it's subjective. It's know.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I have to think on that one.
Bobby Hall, Tony, is that a Kurt? Yes, it is. It's Kurt Cobain. Just says Kurt, or no, it just says Cobain, and it's his head. Yes.
Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain. Let's see here. Charlie _Dark says, "Hey, Dave and Tony, how do you feel about Star Trek? Star Trek in general? I like it. I've actually come to like the Star Trek property a lot more in my adult years.
In my adult years, I'm finding that I'm liking it. I didn't like it as much as a kid. I really had no interest in it. I liked what JJ did with his, 3 films. I thought they were, solid. But the TV series, the old 60s series with Shatner, I thought it was good. I mean, it's grown on me now as I'm older. My tastes are changing. It's kind of funny. I was having this discussion with my dad the other day, and I was laughing because I said, now I understand why you and like grandpa and grandma watch shows from your childhood growing up, because as you get older, you become more reflective, and you don't. There's that aging process of where you realize, like, fuck, I'm already 40 years old now, and like you kind of want to hold on to your youth as much as possible. Well, what's your youth? It's the TV shows you grew up with watching, And I find myself watching more of the old stuff that I grew up with than watching new shit.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, 100%. I've come to appreciate Star Trek more actually because of my girlfriend. She was a big Star Trek The Next Generation fan growing up as a kid. Like she used to watch it, as a kid. Not like a diehard fan or anything, but she just, she'd watch it as a kid. And we started watching a few episodes on Netflix, and we also started watching some episodes of the original series. Now, I've seen them, obviously, before, but growing up, obviously I wasn't alive when the original series was on, but it would air in reruns, and I would watch it, and, whatever. And I wasn't a big Next Gen fan, but now as an adult, over the last number of years, we've been watching more and more episodes on Netflix, and I love it. I love the nuance. I love the morals and the messages and the bigger picture. And I think it's just because I'm a wiser person now, right? I understand these things and I have an interest in them. And I gotta say, I actually like the mood of the original series too. I love the idea of it's just everything. We should do maybe a Star Trek show. That might actually be kind of fun.
That'd be cool.
And I like the J.J. Abrams films. Now, he actually directed the first 2, but I understand that.
I meant like the ones.
Yeah. Well, he produced the 3rd movie. I understand that hardcore Star Trekkies.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of nervous to do that one, because there's just hardcore Trekkies, and I'm not a hardcore Trekkie. And I don't want.
Nor am I. But as long as you preface the video with that, then they can go fuck themselves. And I just think it's like seriously, Yeah, like seriously. Hey, fuck off. Go and somewhere else. So the like I like what JJ did, but that's because I'm a Star Wars fan. So, and I'm not a Trekkie. Although I can absolutely understand why Trekkies don't like those movies, because it's not Star Trek, it's more Star Wars, and I get it. But for me, it was my cup of tea. It was that nice balance. But yeah, it's interesting. Super chat from Zigo RZ Skate 45. I'm probably saying that wrong. I don't know. You guys listen to Cannibal Corpse? Never heard of them. Super chat from Ethan LeBlanc says, do y'all want to hear more new themes in the new movies like The Shape Hunts Allison, or still with classic like The Shape Stalks? I think continue the trend. I think what Carpenter did with the sound. Yeah.
You want some of the old mixed in with some of the new, happy balance. You want the identity of the Halloween theme and The Shape Stalks and Laurie's theme mixed in with everything new that Carpenter's been doing. So I think that it's happy blend.
Yeah, like what he did in the... I mean, listen, out of all the things that I had issues with the 2018 film, the soundtrack was not one of them.
That's my favorite from the film.
It's amazing. But I will say I would like it if we could have more time for the soundtrack to breathe, because there were many moments in that movie, like, for example, with The Shape Hunts Allison, where just as you get going, the scene ends and the music ends. And I think to really make it feel like the music is a character in the movie. So when we hear a piece of music, we go, oh, that's from that scene. And that's difficult to do, but it can be done. So yeah, just stay the course, I say, with what they're doing, Let's see. Bob McFucker Cakes. I love that. Laurie's theme was missing from 2018. I missed it. Yeah, it wasn't there. I thought there was a brief sort of
brief. He changed the tone. I don't know if it's the tone or changed up the melody a little bit. There is somewhat of a Laurie theme in there. I think it's all that, but it's not I know what he's talking about. It's not the traditional.
No, it's not. There was something Carpenter did. Something like there was like two notes or something, or there was something like that. But I agree.
But he didn't pull the trigger on it and go all the way in. But you kind of knew with the chords he was playing, like, okay. Especially if you were really listening to the song, you could pick up on it.
Yeah, exactly. David Johnson says, Dave, will you be doing the Foley for your feature film, It's Me, Billy? Tony, did you get any new tattoos? Okay, well, I'll answer first. Number one, it's not a feature film. It's a short film. And will I be doing the Foley for it? Yes, all the sound design and any ADR we need to do or anything will be done here in my studio. Tony.
No, he is still sketching it out for me. I shared it like a week or 2 weeks ago on Instagram stories. I'm getting the classic comic book cover of Killing Joke of Joker with the camera in his hands, smiling with that really evil grin on his face. But I'm making some modifications to it to make it my own. I'm actually getting it done on my legs. So that's the new one that's on the horizon. So.
And it's Joaquin?
No. We're toying around with some ideas. It is the Killing Joke. I don't want to go too far away from
I see what you're saying.
Novel, because that's where the classic Joker shot with him holding a camera in his hand comes from.
Right.
Novel.
And that's the tattoo?
That's going to be the tattoo, but we're making some modifications to it.
Yeah. Hey, this show just became 3D. Watch.
That's like Friday the 13th part 3.
No, this would be Friday the 13th. Hey man, what's going on? Hey, right. Okay, hang on a sec. Okay, yeah, you get it, 3D.
Jordan Stevenson, yes, I have seen the Soaked in Bleach conspiracy documentary about Kurt Cobain's death, and yes, I'm one of the firm believers that I do believe Courtney Love had a hand in it.
Ooh.
I was a firm believer of that before the documentary came out. When he died, that day, I said she had something to do with it. Like that day. If you grew up as a Nirvana fan, like I did, like really a big Nirvana fan, and I was one of the fortunate ones to see Nirvana live back in the early 90s, you knew this shit was going on and the toxicity of the Courtney Love relationship with Kurt Cobain. Right. And a lot of diehard Nirvana fans from that day have said the same thing. They felt that I'm not saying she pulled the trigger, but I'm saying she had a hand in it for sure.
Right. Yeah, and you could be right. I mean, as Robert De Niro would say, I've heard things.
That's it. Exactly.
Again, I was just thinking of Robert De Niro's face. When you watch Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, when he shoots him in the face, Robert De Niro dies like Robert De Niro. He looks like this.
It's true.
He's got like a Robert De Niro face on. It's so great. Yeah. I don't know if you could see me there if I was covered, but yeah. No. I guess I went back that way. Yeah, it was funny. I fucking love it. Love that fucking movie though. Fantastic. I still have only seen it once. Tony's seen it 900 times, but I plan on seeing it again.
I've only seen it 6 times.
6 times.
I've been
He
using.
shot him 6 times.
I need the reference points because I'm doing a Joker photo shoot, and a lot of it's inspired by what Todd Phillips did with Joker. And
Whatever you say, man.
and it's unfortunately it doesn't come out on digital till December. That's the release date.
Gotcha. Zach Axiola says, at Dave McRae, would you guys like to see Obi-Wan Kenobi make an appearance in The Rise of Skywalker? If so, which actor should play him? Well, yeah, I'd be like, as long as it serves the story and it doesn't feel shoehorned in. Yeah, and I think it should be Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, isn't Ewan doing something now?
He's doing the Obi-Wan series for Disney Plus.
Yeah,
which I think starts shooting next year. So yeah, I mean, I think it should be Ewan McGregor, and I think you age him appropriately, because he's going to be older than he is even now. So you age him to look like Alec Guinness. And yes, I mean, you got to keep continuity. I mean, as much as I despise the prequels, and there's some redeeming qualities, to be fair, there are. One of the best things about them was Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah. So he was great.
The Film Addict, favorite River Phoenix movies besides Stand By Me. Really tragic that he passed away that young. You know what's crazy that you asked that question? Jeff is his name, as I know him on Instagram.
Yeah.
I've been watching stuff recently here on River Phoenix's passing. It's weird that you say that on YouTube, just looking up stuff. And with the de-aging process and technology, River could actually be a really good Kurt Cobain if he was alive today. I mean, he could really you could de-age him to get him to that youthful look of Kurt in his early mid-20s.
Right.
And River for sure. We were so robbed of what that guy could have given us on the big screen and his talent. I mean, Stand By Me is definitely is great. Missing Idaho, is that the one that he did with Keanu and Fleet? From Hot. Someone help me out. It's something Idaho. It's Missing Idaho or something like that. That's another good movie. But he was a great actor. Gone way too soon.
Phenomenal. I mean, look at his brother. I mean, it runs in the family.
That family, they birthed two great actors. Okay,
they did. I will say my favorite River Phoenix movie. Other than it's probably Stand By Me, but other than Stand By Me,
My Private Idaho. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay, cool. My Own Private Idaho. I don't think I've seen that.
It's good. It's him.
Check it out.
It's really good.
I'll check it out. My favorite besides Stand By Me would be one with my favorite actor, which is Harrison Ford, and no, not Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
No, I knew it. I knew it wasn't that. I know what you were going to say now.
Yes. Well, I was saying no to pretty much the chat room because I think they were going to jump on me and say, Last Crusade, he was only in it for a couple minutes. No, is one of my favorite Harrison Ford movies. It's one of the most underrated Harrison Ford films of all time because I think it was a little before its time. It's The Mosquito Coast.
Yep.
And, I love that
Great
movie.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that movie, watch it. It's one of Harrison Ford's best performances, and Phoenix is just it's not necessarily a movie that Phoenix is oh my God, River Phoenix, but he's great in it. He's great in that movie. Yeah. And he's great as the oldest son, or might it be his only son actually? Yeah, because I think it's him and the two twins. I think. Anyway, he's phenomenal in that movie. So I would say The Mosquito Coast. Unbelievable. In 1986, I think. Was that film 86, somewhere around there. A couple super chats. Nick.
By the way, I didn't know this about River that night when he passed away. Do you know who called 911? Joaquin.
Was it Joaquin? Yeah.
Like, I'm just thinking about that. Like, I didn't know that that his brother and his sister was even there as well too. I didn't know they were there that night.
Yeah,
I had no fucking clue. I knew he had died of a drug overdose, but I didn't know that it was Joaquin who makes the 911 call, and it's on the internet, which I think they need to remove that shit.
He died right outside the Viper Room, I think was the name of the club in LA, and I drove past it because it's on.
Is his picture out on the front of it?
Sorry, say again.
Isn't his picture out on the front of it?
I didn't stop. I don't know. I didn't. Okay. If it is, it's certainly not big enough to see from the road. But yeah, it's sad, very sad. Nick Super Chat says, ever see 70s horror flick The Sentinel? Thoughts? The Sentinel. I think I might have. but I can't remember. It's not hitting the bells right now. Zigo RZ Skate 45. Thank you once again, buddy. Says, I'll kill, fuck, or marry Jason Statham, Vin Diesel, Joe Pesci. I am fucking Jason Statham. I am marrying Joe Pesci, and I am killing Vin Diesel. Mic drop.
I don't know how to answer that question.
Well, you answer it sarcastically. Obviously, we're not,
I think it'd be cool to have
we're two straight dudes, so you have to think of the personality.
Well, no, I'm thinking because I think it would be cool to have a fun long-term marriage with Jason Statham.
That's true.
Badass. Diesel is a one-nighter type. It's just, I don't think I could have long conversations with
no.
Diesel.
That's why I kill him.
And kill just for the simple fact of the shit that he's done in gangster movies. Just to do it the way he's done other people, like in Goodfellas and shit.
I love it. What's our time on the game?
1 minute.
1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute left in the show, folks. 1 minute left in the show. 1 minute left of the show. Zigo, I'll just call you Zigo because you're sending in a lot, buddy. Thanks, appreciate it. Zigo follows up with T1 being a horror movie. Opinions.
Ooh, I asked this question as a poll on my Instagram, and this thing was so fucking close. It was 53% voted yes, the original Terminator is a horror. 47 voted no, and there was on that poll about 1,200 people voted, so it was literally 600 people split almost 50-50.
I think. For me, I'd say no. I think at its core, it's a science fiction film because you look at what the overall arcing themes are in terms of the narrative. The first one, right? I'm talking about the theme. Well, you could even make that argument with T2 as well. But what's the theme? What's the story? What's the narrative? What is it about? It's about the future and time travel and this. Science fiction is really at its core. So I think that doesn't mean there aren't horror elements. There aren't horrific things that happen or horrific images. But I think in terms of a genre, I think it's science fiction. I think at the end of the day,
which
for me anyway,
fiction to me is a subgenre to the horror genre. It's a cousin. You know what I mean?
You can make an argument to that.
Like you take a movie like Alien, and Alien's a horror movie, but it's a science fiction horror movie.
Yep, you absolutely could make that argument. Yeah, bang on.
Space, which the thing is based off of, you know what I mean? Or it's the remake, whatever. Again, a horror film, but a science fiction horror film. So Terminator 1, I think, falls within that. Not so much T2. I think T2 falls into science fiction action. You know?
Yes. Yeah. No, you there's definitely even though I tend to lean a little more science fiction, there is definitely an argument to be made that it is science fiction horror or a horror film for sure. Yeah. I wouldn't be like, oh, come on. No, I get it. 100%. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Mike McQuarter. Am I saying that right? I think I'm saying that right. Chat's a little far away from me here. T1 is a he knows. T1 is a Psy remake of Halloween. Sarah is Laurie. Terminator is Michael, and Michael Bean's character is Loomis.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't really see it the same way, but
interesting fan theory.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. Colin Altman says, Dave and Tony, what upcoming horror movies are you looking forward to? I don't know.
Now, I mean,
I don't know.
Dr. Sleep, right?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, Dr. Sleep.
The next one on the... we unfortunately, October, we didn't really have a good month this year for horror films. We had It, which is why I felt it should have come out in October because there's really nothing...
that was business because they made so much money on that weekend.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
This is kind of it's a quiet month. I mean, next year, obviously, we're going to have Halloween. But it was a very quiet month this year. In fact, not only has it been a quiet month, I don't know if it's the same way up in Toronto for your network TVs. showing horror movies for this month, but like last year they were on fucking fire. Like great classic horror films. This year has fucking sucked. Like they have shown nothing.
Yeah, there's not too much going on either, and AMC's showing quite a bit, but AMC's an American channel, and we get it up. I mean, we essentially get all the channels that you get as well. So I caught a bit of that, but
networks were showing just different great old school horror movies throughout the whole month, not just AMC. But this year it's been just dead, nothing, you know.
Right.
And it's been a shitty month for horror, given the fact that this is our month.
Right, exactly. Somebody said, oh yes, thank you. Somebody said that I missed Nick's super chat from about 20 minutes ago, and you're right, I did. Thank you very much. Hey, that's awesome. Always wait a bit to see if I'm going to get to it, because sometimes I skip and bounce around depending on what the question is. But if like 20 minutes goes by and it looks like we're moving on and the show's coming to an end and I haven't answered a super chat, you definitely let us know, and I know you guys will. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. Nick says, thank you, Nick, for the super chat. He says, ever know that Robert Englund's friend and him, I never knew, I think, that Robert Englund's friend and him drove to the set of the 78 Halloween to watch Carpenter film it. John let him sprinkle leaves into the scenes. Yeah, that's the story that Robert Englund tells. Robert Englund is a storyteller, and he tells stories. And definitely I know that he's telling the truth, but who knows how much creative liberties he takes, because Mark Hamill disputes Robert Englund's version of the story about Mark Hamill and the audition, and because, you know, Robert Englund says that, you know, Mark Hamill was at my place all the time. He was crashing on the couch and such and such and such and such and blah, blah, blah. And Mark Hamill has said, yes, we were friends, but I wasn't crashing on his place all the time. I wasn't over there all the time. So I think, I'm not saying that he's lying. I just think that Robert's a great storyteller. Yeah. And I think he uses a bit of potentially creative liberties to make the story more appealing and effective. Now, I'm not saying that he didn't sprinkle leaves on the ground. Yeah, he probably did. You know, and I think that's really cool. Yeah, I have heard about that. I have heard him tell that story, and I think that's pretty cool. Freddy Krueger was sprinkling leaves on the set of Halloween.
By the way, it is halftime. Do you want to take that last super chat?
Oh, it's halftime. Let's take the last super chat.
Commercial, because the guys are doing the halftime analysis right now, so you still got a little bit of time.
Okay, sounds good. Halftime, yes, last super chat. Zigo says, quick little Michael Myers impression, Dave. Okay, Michael Myers impression. There you go. There it is. There's the Michael Myers impression. Remember, folks, when you're cosplaying as Michael Myers, or you're in a fan film and you want to sit up as Michael, you got to sit up very gracefully and just turn your head. Don't sit up too fast, or don't have your legs apart, or whatever the case is. That's how you do it, folks. That's how you do it.
Did you see Midsommar, by the way? Ethan asked that.
Oh, yes, he did. I was going to answer that. Yes, I did see it. I did finally see Midsommar, and I liked it. It's not a movie that I would watch on a regular basis, but I enjoyed it. But
back when I saw that.
Yeah, I actually thought it was all right. But
you get what I'm doing, so
I do.
Fucking thing I've ever seen on screen. I'm sorry. It's almost I can keep concentration fucking someone when I got women doing.
Well, especially women that look like that. And I mean, listen, if they all were gorgeous.
Yeah, well,
you know, I will say that
party.
I will say that, and it was meant to make you feel that way. It was meant to be extraordinarily uncomfortable, and you know, it's like a 21st century Wicker Man for all intents and purposes, and it's not a.
The Star Wars thing is coming now. It's now.
Okay. Well. There you go. I did like it, but I love Hereditary much more. I think Hereditary is a much better movie. So anyways, oh no, we're hearing your audio. Turn it down. I don't want to get a copyright strike.
Sorry.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for episode 2 Dudes and Some Bullshit, episode 43. Psycho and the Night of the Living Dead. Thank you for everybody for watching. Thank you for your super chats and supporting the channel. We greatly appreciate it. We think you guys are awesome. We will see you next week for the Halloween special, Thursday, October 31st. Tony, any last words you want to say?
That's it, man. You guys were great tonight. We're going to see you guys next Thursday night at 9 o'clock, right?
Yep.
Eastern Standard Time. We're going to watch Halloween, the original 78 together. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good, fun night. You guys ask as many questions as you want.
Yep, absolutely. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Talk to you soon. Cheers.
Night, guys.